Good afternoon here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. Nick Sturdivant is off today. We're off to a pretty quiet start in this 12:30 hour. We're covering a number of stories. I know the 1 o'clock, Carlene tells me, is going to be
hopping,
crazy busy.
Yeah.
But for now, let's go ahead and ease into this afternoon, shall we? You had your lunch. You're feeling good?
Feeling good.
All right, good.
We're back at it.
We're back at it. We need some vitamin D.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Becca Birdsall. Becca. Hi, Becca. Your hair looks cute.
Oh, thank you very much. Lower humidity, you know.
Is that what it is?
It helps.
Oh.
You know, we're all having good hair days.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah,
what is
I
that?
like you've got like a French
I got
twist
a hair.
going on.
Yes, the French
Yes.
twist. Oh,
I like
my
it.
gosh, thank you.
Well, today is feeling a little bit more like March. We're actually 30 degrees cooler right now than this time yesterday. So yesterday was cold front day. We've got some breezy winds coming in from the north. That's what brought us the colder air. Yesterday we were in the 80s. Today we're going to have a high temperature, likely in the lower 60s. But most of us will spend the afternoon in the 50s. So it's just the temperature roller coaster that March brings. And we've got another roller coaster as we go later in on the work week. So you can see that 24-hour temperature change. That truly tells the weather story for today. We do have a mix of sunshine and clouds out there. Some high clouds are streaming in as well. But 40s and 50s. 50 here in Charlotte, 47 over towards Hickory, and 54 over towards our South Carolina counties. You can see the cloud cover out there, but still lots of sunshine, and temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler than average for today. One of the only cooler days out of the work week ahead, so certainly get out and enjoy it. Just a light jacket will be needed as you head out the door. So you can see on Doppler radar, we are completely dry, but we do have some cloud cover that is starting to move out, at least out of the mountains. We'll continue to push over towards our south and eastern counties, but this is what's making for what's called a filtered sunshine with those high clouds. So this will be clearing out as we go over the next couple of hours. More sunshine expected for the second half of your Tuesday. Now, what we are watching for as well as we continue to get dry air incoming from the north is an extreme fire danger, and outdoor burning is going to be strongly discouraged, especially in those counties that you see in red. That is that extreme fire danger risk today. Will likely continue into the next couple of days as well. You can see tomorrow that goes into the very high range as well. So it's just this time of year. We got lots of vegetation and dormant, so any fire that does spread can do so very quickly, especially with the winds. Not as breezy as what they were for yesterday, but still at times they will be gusting around 20 miles per hour. So again, outdoor burning, not recommended. Today we're headed upper 50s, close to 60 degrees, so below average for this time of year by around 7-8 degrees. Our normal high has now bumped up to 67. And again, we'll see a little bit more sunshine as we go later in on the afternoon. Now, despite the dry weather, I know I really need a car wash, but the pollen forecast as we go over the next couple of days, pretty significant, especially over 1/10 of an inch in some spots. So while yes, it is dry, you technically can go to the car wash, it will likely just be covered in pollen the next day. I've had a scenario where I literally went to the car wash and an hour or two later, I had pollen accumulation on my car, and that's just the worst. So don't spend your money on the car wash just yet because the pollen levels are going to be pretty high. And if you think this month is bad, well, April is when we typically peak for tree pollen. And it's not going anywhere just yet. So the month of May usually sees a little bit of a downhill trend, and that continues into summer. And then it's grass that typically takes over towards our summer months. And then for fall, it is usually weeds that typically have an allergen around the area as well. Rain chances not really looking too impressive. I think we'll have an isolated chance as we go into Friday afternoon and evening. This is going to be for a couple of showers and thunderstorms. Not everyone will be seeing them, but this does come alongside a front, and you'll notice drier and cooler conditions as we go into the next upcoming weekend. So temperature roller coaster today, one of the cooler days out of the next 7, and then we'll get into the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees for tomorrow. 80s by Thursday and well into the 80s for Friday. But you'll notice that quite the temperature drop from Friday into Saturday. Again, that's when we have those rain chances incoming due to that cold front. So behind it, we're down into the 60s for both Saturday and Sunday. Now, Friday is significant because the warmest temperature we've had so far this year has been 87 degrees. We've actually hit that 3 times, 2 in February and 1 this month of March. So Friday forecasted high of 88 could be the warmest day out of the entire year. This weekend looking pretty nice, especially compared to last weekend where we had highs well into the 80s. It's going to be about 20 degrees cooler for this weekend. Lots of sunshine to go around, even a bit of a chilly start going into your Sunday, starting off in the upper 30s. One thing still, we don't have any freezing mornings as we go into the next 7 days. Still would hold off planting though until around April 10th. That is typically our average last frost date. The big story is these temperatures that are going to continue to go up and up. Big warming trend. So today, maybe the coolest day out of the next 7, but we'll be close to 90 degrees once again as we go into Friday, and then a nice cool down going into this weekend. So maybe not pool weather, Carlene, for Saturday and Sunday.
Not splish splash.
No.
What's
pool,
up with that?
My pool's not open anyway.
Yeah.
We gotta wait
I'm
till
heading
Memorial
down to
Day
Charleston
weekend.
this weekend.
Oh,
which is usually
okay.
typically a couple degrees warmer at home
Yeah,
than it is
it is.
here.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, I was looking forward to I'm a warm girl.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jane
Same.
and I are warm girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We
with
want 80 degrees.
80s.
I feel like this time of year is the best to go to Charleston because it's
It's
without
not going to
the
be blindingly
humidity.
hot and humidity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
The
that'll be
humidity
nice.
is
True.
huge,
So there's
so-
that.
You know.
60 degrees.
I know. I'm like, who do we call?
Warm busters.
Warm
The
busters.
Lord? I
Cold-
don't know.
The Lord will be coming in about 2 weeks. We got Palm Sunday to get through
That's
first.
right, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, this is not too bad. But yeah, speaking of the yellow, the pollen, and we were talking about car washes as well. Mine's gross. but
mine is
yeah.
too.
it's on top of the snow and ice collection, so
no.
that still had to be washed off. It's just going to collect
Yeah,
some.
I
some
really need a car
layers.
wash, but I'm like,
Mine looks
Right.
terrible.
It's
just
but I'm
not
just
worth
holding
it.
out.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to park outside.
Park outside,
Greg
right?
gets the garage, so like his car looks nice, mine looks crap.
Well, we
You know.
invested in the 1 month limitless car wash
yes.
membership.
Yeah.
But yeah, you probably have to go every day or every
to really keep up with it.
every hour or something. Just
Every
drive.
hour
and the
on the hour.
lines I've noticed are getting longer.
Oh,
my
yes.
to
yeah.
wash your car.
'Cause
And you don't
everyone's
want to
like,
wait
I'm
30
tired of it.
minutes.
Yeah, for sure. We all are. All right. Let's all give Becca's car a hard time when we see it in the parking lot. We'll just write, wash me.
Hi, Becca.
There we go.
We see you. All right, Becca Birdsall, thank you for that. Not too bad, though. Of
course.
Too bad.
All right, we'll see you later. And we'll see you in a couple of minutes. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Senate's in session in D.C. It looks like Senator Schumer's got the floor. Let's listen in on Live Impact News.
No, it's a ridiculous idea. Doesn't mean we should continue it. We should have the TSA paid. Of course, perhaps it may not be that security is Donald Trump's main goal in sending ICE to the airports. Listen to this. Yesterday in a podcast, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon said Trump should use these agents as, quote, a test run to really perfect ICE's involvement in the 2026 elections. Again, Bannon. Trump should use these agents as a test run, his words, to really perfect ICE's involvement in the 2026 elections. This is bone-chilling. Steve Bannon is saying the quiet part out loud, calling ICE's deployment to airports a test run for the midterms. This is how authoritarians turn law enforcement into intimidation forces. This is why Democrats are so intent on reining ICE in. The disease of undermining elections is rampant in the right wing of the Republican Party, and it seems they'll use any means they can to achieve that goal. They know that Donald Trump and Republicans are in trouble this November, and they'll do whatever it takes, legal or not, to prevent a legitimate election. ICE needs to leave the airports now. Trump needs to pay TSA workers now and push Republicans to reach a deal. No intimidation forces at our airports. No more chaos at checkpoints. Enough is enough. And let me just finish with this on vote by mail. This morning, the New York Times reported that Donald Trump, who constantly complains about vote by mail, who says it's rife with fraud, used vote by mail himself in a special election in Florida. Can you believe it? According to Donald Trump, vote by mail is cheating when other people use it, but perfectly fine when he does it himself. What a hypocrite this man is. What a hypocrite. Maybe Donald Trump should ask for another amendment to the SAVE Act to create a presidential exception for mail-in ballots, because apparently his own rules do not apply to him. And of course, the White House is now offering ridiculous excuses, saying the president's a busy man. He obviously lives in the White House. This is all nonsense. A single mom with 3 kids and 2 jobs is just as busy as Donald Trump. And he's doing everything he can to stop her from voting while voting by mail himself, because he is busy. Donald Trump goes to Mar-a-Lago almost every weekend. His polling location is less than 15 minutes away by car. If he wanted to vote in person, he easily could have. His decision to vote by mail shows just how hypocritical Donald Trump is about fraud and cheating. That's who he is, I'm afraid. And that tells you everything. It shows not only Donald Trump's hypocrisy, but the complete baselessness of his claims about voter fraud. It shows that the whole point of pushing this bill is to make it harder for people to cast a ballot. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the Thune Amendment along those lines is just a cover-up to hide what the SAVE Act really does. I yield the floor.
Well, Senator Schumer yields the floor and can wait for the next speaker. I want to take you out live, though, right now to LaGuardia Airport, where we are awaiting an update from NTSB. They are scheduled to give a press conference at 1:30. When that happens, we will bring that to you live here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We do know that as of yesterday afternoon, they reopened runway 2 and runway 4 remains shut down as of end of yesterday. So an update on the runway situation, we anticipate that, as well as potential initial investigations and findings from NTSB as to what happened to end up with that crash where 2 pilots died on that Air Canada regional jet when it landed, upon landing, hitting the Port Authority fire truck. So that's coming up at 1:30 as we look live now at LaGuardia Airport. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 12:48 here on Live Impact News. There is a live event, a conversation-style format here happening in D.C. It is from the Hudson Institute. It appears they are talking foreign affairs and Operation Epic Fury. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News.
Missiles can still get through. Is it over? Are we in a position to declare victory and Iran is no longer a threat and we accomplished all of our goals? We're not there yet. But I don't think anybody thought this was going to be a walk in the park. Even at the outset, the president was talking about 4 to 6 weeks. Operational planning was for 45 days. So we still have a ways to go. But we're doing quite well. I mean, think of just the numbers. Simple numbers of 200 planes flying 3 sorties a day for 3 weeks. It's quite an accomplishment. And we've had very few casualties, both the U.S. Air Force and ours. So I think we're doing very well.
The war or the conflict in last June was a kind of a baton race, where you guys took care of the first part, and then the United States came in at the latter part. But this is really complete integration, and it's quite an amazing story, I think. If you think that these are two militaries who have never gone to war together before, and it seems from the distance which I'm observing it to be really seamless cooperation. Can you give us a little sense of how that's working, and is it as seamless? You're going to say, of course, it's seamless, but
well, I'm going to say it's seamless because it really is. I mean, it's astounding just how integrated this operation, the two operations, have become. Let me give you a little background. You asked me for a secret or two, right? In the green room, you said if I can divulge something.
I said, come on, give us something.
So, I mean, the big secret is that we actually did not drag the United States into the war. Not this round or the previous one. I know that President Trump runs around with a sign on his forehead which says, "I'm here for the schlepping." schlepping Yiddish, right? But this time, we really didn't do it. We didn't manipulate him. As a matter of fact, when the Prime Minister came in last year for the first time, that in and of itself is kind of unprecedented. 7 prime ministerial presidential visits in 13 months. 6 here and 1 in Jerusalem. And the discussion went like this. I mean, first of all, there were the pleasantries. I mean, they know each other for 40 years, ever since Bibi was in the UN and Donald Trump was a businessman in New York, and they occasioned at cocktail parties. They immediately started talking about Iran. This was on the president's mind for many, many years, and certainly, the prime minister's been talking about this for decades. And the prime minister came in with, I'd call them slides, or enlarged slides, laminated kind of papers, and put them on the coffee table. After the president said, "So how do you see things, Bibi?" And there were basically 4 options from our perspective. Okay, Israel doesn't demand anything more than any other country, but it has the right not to demand less. Tucker, when you come to present your case, you present your case as if, Emmanuel Macron would come and present his case. That's what Zionism demands. Zionism doesn't demand more than anybody else. It demands no less for the Jewish people. And that's exactly what the prime minister did. Came in, put down what he saw as 4 options. And the first option was, we go it alone. This is an existential threat to the state of Israel. We don't have time. This, for us, is a matter of existence. And that's our first option. If this is what the only option is, we'll go it alone, with the limitations that includes. The second option was we would go it alone, but we'd get some support, political support, and some backup support, some backup military support, limited military support. The third option was we go in together, planning, operational, whole 9 yards. And the fourth option was that the United States takes the reins and decides where it wants us to come in its master plan. Now, there wasn't an immediate decision, and I think that in years to come, political science faculties will actually study the decision-making process of the administration, because it went through a number of iterations, variations, discussions, deliberations, back and forth.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it really was fascinating. I gotta tell you, as somebody who studied political theory, it was really like hands-on political theory, how these decisions are made. And ultimately, the president came down on somewhere in between 2 and 3, right? So there was a lot of planning together. We had our people sitting, in CENTCOM and in AFCENT for about 2 months, going over each other's intel, targets. We gave input, U.S. gave input, a lot of sharing, and it worked. It worked very, very well. And when they finally came in and decided that in addition to helping us plan together, he would come in with the B-2s, because that was something that we couldn't do. So the idea was we'd take the heavy lifting, and that the actual event that we couldn't implement, the U.S. would do. So again, it was somewhere in between the second and third option. And then the hope was that the damage that we inflicted would be enough for the mullahs of Tehran to get the message and cease and desist. So without getting into we've all become etymologists over the past 8 months. What exactly obliterate means, But leaving that aside for a moment, they were dramatically set back, right? And what we saw was, in the intel, not only did they not decide to cease and desist, but they said, we now have to build our production sites so deep that the B-2s can't get to them, right? And that's what they proceeded to do, but they also learned something in addition. And that was that their ballistic missiles can overcome the multi-layered missile defense systems. And that's when they embarked on a program to build 300 to 400 ballistic missiles a month. The idea was to get to a place where they'd have the ability to shoot hundreds of ballistic missiles at once. They wanted to have 7,000 ballistic missiles in 2 years. That was the idea. They'd have 7,000 ballistic missiles in 2 years. They would fire a volley, not of 40 or 50 missiles, but volleys of 300 and 400 missiles, which would overcome the system. But by the way, in Rising Lion, we estimate that about 88% of the missiles were blocked, but 12% got in. And that's when you're shooting a volley of 40 or 50. Now imagine you're shooting a volley of 400, 500. So that percentage is probably going to go up, but even if it doesn't go up and you're still at 12%, it's overwhelming damage.
That looks like it's our cue to take a break here as we come over the top of the hour near 1 o'clock. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Coming up on 1 o'clock here on a Tuesday afternoon, I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. And today, a community that says they're already overwhelmed by housing, now getting even a little bit more frustrated. Our Walker Lawson in East Charlotte telling us there is a community there that's not happy with the housing program they're trying to start there. Walker, tell us what your story's about.
Yeah, so last night, Charlotte City Council met and had their zoning meeting, and they ended up, it was a tight vote. It was a vote of 6-4 to approve this housing unit. Now, Councilmember JD Maswadas Arias, who oversees this area, is very frustrated because this community has seemingly just seen an inundation of housing. There really is no grocery store here. There really is not this large oncoming of projects that are retail or commercial oriented, except for you have Eastland Yards, which is in the works, but they are frustrated. We heard from another council member last night, Luana Mayfield, who says that she's concerned that they're contributing to or continuing to recontribute to poverty by keeping things affordable in the community and not trying to push in more development like grocers or things like that into this community. Even spoke with Charlotte East's Greg Asciuto, who says, this is about the 8th development within a mile radius that is affordable housing that's in the works. And that's not even just discussing entirely in East Charlotte. So while affordable housing is a good thing for a lot of areas and communities, there's a lot of concern that this is keeping the income level at a certain base for this area and then keeping them in a food desert and not even trying to address other issues here in the community.
Yeah, I was going to say, then are there any plans or discussions, but you just said that there's no looking forward to supporting the folks that are needing to move there. So this affordable housing project that they are, the latest ones that they're not, that they are upset about, who would it benefit, like the age group and how many people?
Yeah, so the project's expected to bring 125 senior affordable housing units, those 55 and up. Some of the debate about it is there's also 11 townhomes that will be up for sale, a part of the project. So there were also some concerns about height and what this will look like. JD had mentioned he believes that it's a 4-story building, and where I'm at, which is kind of hard to see, it's a little chilly out there this afternoon, but it's mostly just single-family homes in this area, so it would kind of stand out as a tall building. So again, as you had mentioned, just that's who it'll serve. Obviously, Greg Asciuto with Charlotte East says they've been working to try to bring a grocer to this area. But in his interview today, he said last he understood, they're not having success identifying a grocer because the income level is so low. So he said that's kind of attributing, this project is kind of attributing to that issue that this community seems to be facing.
Oh my goodness, such a juxtaposition of a challenge. Folks need affordable housing, but you can't even afford to get a grocer in there. All right, when is this expected to go up, and then what are the next steps?
Yeah, so we've reached out to the developer to get a date for when this project would start. Don't have one yet, but since it passed last night 6-4, they pretty much have the green light to move forward. I will say there was a comment made last night in the council meeting by Councilmember LaWanna Mayfield, which we're actually working on another story to try to reach out to get some more insight on. This project, of course, being affordable housing, would need affordable housing dollars, and she had made a comment that just last week they had used the last bit of that. So I think that becomes this question of does it go to another cycle? There's a lot of questions for us to ask that I would need answers to once I heard that mentioned in last night's meeting. So if there's no dollars for it, I think that begins to open up a question of when the project would even come to light.
Okay, and we've seen projects pause because no dollars support even the groundbreaking. All right, interesting development there in East Charlotte. Walker, thank you. Grab a jacket. We'll see you at 4:30 on WCNC Charlotte. Thanks, Walker. All right, from there, we are going to take a quick time out for a break, and we'll go to CMS, where they are holding a bit of a meeting a little bit later on. But first, a break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 107 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, you may know that TSA agents are not being paid in this partial government shutdown. The union is holding a meeting, a virtual press conference, if you will. This is live right now, so let's listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Still dying. FEMA workers are supposed to be ready when disaster strikes, but right now the disaster is their own bank account. This is a national embarrassment and it's a disgrace. So here's what I want to say to every political or politician that's working on this issue. Get the text written, get it to the floor, vote on it, and get it to the president's desk for signature. And don't even think about going home for Easter recess while tens of thousands of American families are going without paychecks. Do not get on a plane that a TSA officer screened for free and fly home for Easter dinner and tell these people that you're working on it. These are parents. These are veterans. These are people with mortgages and car payments and kids who need to eat. And they're carrying the weight of this government on their back. Right now, these workers need a vote, a signature, and a paycheck. So end the shenanigans today. Finish the deal and get these workers paid. That's what I want to say to this entire America. Thank you.
All right, thank you, President Kelly. Next up, we'll hear from Hydrick Thomas, the president of AFG TSA Council 100.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hydrick Thomas. I've been employed at TSA approximately 24 years. I came in because of the 9/11. I want no one to ever forget that. That's why this agency was created. And apparently, Congress and everyone else is failing to forget, even though they get on the plane every day, twice a day, sometimes fly 3 times a day from state to state. We are coming at the end of the month. And what happens at the end of the month? Your rent due, your gas bill due, your mortgage due, your carbon pay due, the child care due, the shopping supermarkets are open, due to go shopping, the child looking to get certain things like birthdays. A lot of children's birthdays are coming up. Imagine your child looking for that because they know it every year it comes. Now all of a sudden this year you tell them, listen, unfortunately we can't. We're not gonna have a party this week. Maybe we can do it next month. And it's the dad and mom, but my birthday is tomorrow. How do you tell a child, you look them in their face and tell them, listen, oh, we can't buy those cookies. We can't get that candy. So guys, why are we making TSA employees the pawn on the chessboard? The sacrifice the lives of the TSA employees. We just came out of a shutdown, October, November, 43 days, but we didn't get paid until the 53rd day. So that was already going in December. Now we're back into another shutdown. And they telling us, oh, even if the union wanted to do something, how much you paying for the food? I'm Southern born. When I invite you into the kitchen, I don't tell you how much it's going to cost to feed you. Apparently, that's what we're in a crisis right now, where we have to explain to the agency what are we spending that's coming out of our own pocket. We're fortunate enough to put a little bit, get money together from the workers, ourselves, our co-workers. We come together and say, okay, maybe we can have a lunch in this day. But what about the going home when there's no meal to eat at home? I'm sure that these Congress leaders, presidents, everybody's involved in this decision not to pay TSA. Imagine if it was you not getting paid. Just imagine, you have to put yourself in another person's shoe that's suffering. I do this because I care, not that I have to. I've always been a union representative prior to coming to TSA. I'm a dedicated employee. I also make sure I enforce the rules on the employees to do their job to the best of their ability because we took an oath. I'm a former Marine. I'm a military person also. We took an oath to protect life and property. And we take it very serious, and we became professionals at what we do. If they want to bring other agencies in there, that's another question for another day. And you're going to see what's going to happen here. So I'm not going to speak on this agency they got walking around. And I mean, they don't even look at the uniforms they're wearing. They're not even presentable to the public. So like I said, you want to bring a tactical force into an environment where it's required to have customer service and a skill set, a mindset where you know what you're doing, how to identify something might be suspicious. They don't have that training. Whether TSA is going to try to quick train them to replace TSA employees, folks, it's not going to happen. So when you're making a decision on what you think should be done with TSA, make the right decision. Think about if you go home tonight and you can't eat. Like I said, what bothers me a lot, I'm going to speak for me, myself, and for the members. Stop asking me about the loan lines. Ask me if somebody's going to eat today and what we can do to help them, feed them and their children. Ask me about if that person can get. I got people getting evicted, got to go to court because they couldn't afford to pay the rent because they got backed up. Then they go, oh, we got these small interest loans. You're still trying to pay back the loan from the last shutdown. So now they want to offer you some other type of loans, long-term loans. So you'll be paying that up for the rest of your life based on this agency here. So guys, just think about what we're doing and why we're doing it and have some love for the employees that's putting our lives on the line every day. When we go to work, we're not sure whether or not we're going to go home at the end of the day. But you know what? We don't think about that. We think about the safety of the passengers. To make sure they feel comfortable, make sure they're safe, make sure there's no problem, nothing can get on that plane that can hurt anyone. That's what we specialize in, the safety of the flying public and to protect their property. I thank you guys for wanting to interview us to find what's going on. But the only way you're going to know what's really going on unless you live that life. And none of you on the phone and the news media have lived that life where you had to come to work every day and try to determine when I'm going to pay my rent. Can I pay at the end of this month? Because it's coming. The bills are coming. 6, 7 more days, the bills are coming. You tell somebody, oh, can you just hold? TSA gave us these letters to give to our landlord. The landlord don't want to see that because once you get paid and you move out and don't pay him, then he got to search you down and take you to court to get his money. You're already in debt. How then TSA, they want to discipline you for coming late. Not thank you for coming in. They discipline people for coming in late. Oh, can you explain to me why you was here late? I haven't got paid. They want you to justify why you can't come to work before they can approve you to even be off. So, like I said, let's have a conscience and think about what we're really doing and what we really want to speak out to the public about what TSA is going through right now, because people are not quitting the job because they want to quit the job. They love this job. They quitting because they have no choice. They're not coming to work because they have no choice. They don't have the finance to come to work. So they give us a couple of minutes. I'm gonna try to end my conversation because I'll be talking for the whole conversation here. You'll be only interviewing me. So like I said, my name is Heidi Thomas. I was elected as a Council 100 president to speak in behalf of the entire 400-something plus airports under the leadership of President Kelly. He is the president of this local here. He speaks for all 700-something thousand members. And like I said, I thank for his leadership and his guidance on everything we do to protect the people in TSA. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hydrick. All right, next we'll hear from Mac Johnson, who is the Executive Vice President of AFG TSA Council and also the President of Local 449, which covers airports in Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, and North Carolina. Mac.
Good morning to the members of the press and my colleagues as well. Thank you guys for joining this press conference this afternoon. As Burton stated, the Executive Vice President for the TSA Council 100 and my local jurisdiction covers 4 states, North Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia, and Maryland. I'm also a veteran of the United States Army. I just want to give you a little background briefly. I was a full-time student, college student, when the horrible events of 9/11 happened. I was 9 semester hours short of graduating, but in an effort to continue my service to this country, I quit college. And I joined TSA at Raleigh-Durham International Airport, located in Morrisville, North Carolina. I've been on this council as various positions since 2012, and what I'm hearing from our members in the 4 states that I directly in our jurisdiction is it's not that these employees and their families are hungry; they're beginning to starve, literally starve, because they do not have the funds to provide the financial means to provide foods for their families. And that is absolutely absurd. No federal employee in the United States of America should be starving or having any difficulty paying the rent, the mortgage, auto insurance, life insurance, etc. So like everyone else, we not only strongly encourage, we demand that the Congress and this administration sit down like adults and resolve this matter so these employees won't be placed themselves between a rock and a hard place. And again, one last thing that I find very disturbing, or two things actually. The first being, there's some employees around this country who are selling plasma so that they can buy food to feed their families. Selling plasma. Additionally, there are management officials throughout this country. To add insult to injury, they're charging folks with absent without leave, which is AWOL, so that when this shutdown does end someday, they will not be paid for those time that time that they're not reporting to work due to no fault of their own. It's due directly to the fault of the Congress of the United States of America, as well as this current administration. Thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Mac. Next up, we'll hear from Johnny Jones, the Secretary Treasurer of AFG TSA Council 100 and the President of Local 1040, which is represents airports in Texas. Johnny, go ahead.
Say thank you for everybody coming. We have about 100 folks, and it's really awesome you guys want to take our information. But the folks that we represent across the 435 airports, the 45,000 BUEs across the United States, the bargaining employees of TSA, they have going on into their third pay period now over this coming weekend. Starting on Friday, will miss their third paycheck. And they are these are desperate times for the employees. A lot of people aren't able to come to work, not because they're sick or there any kind of issue of that nature, is because they no longer have funds. Okay, a lot of employees. Also, as a little factoid, about 50% of this year, the government has been in a shutdown status. Okay, so employees for the last 5 months, 50% of that time, they have spent in a status of shutdown, which means they don't know when they're going to get paid. And one of the issues that we've discovered during these shutdowns is that after talking to employees, the late fees these guys are paying on apartments and their car loans or whatever it is, every day it's $75 at the apartment complex that don't pay for. It's every day you have a charge that hits your account and you don't have any money. It's another $30 the bank you're going to owe the bank. And if the bank will work with you. Not only do we need to be fully funded, but the TSOs are going to need excessive, and this probably across the whole thing, there needs to be an excessive compensation plan to give these guys money, because I know that my colleagues have already said it, that these guys have borrowed money. Yeah, they borrowed money. They're over their heads and heels in debt. Most of the employees live paycheck to paycheck, so they've missed these paychecks for the last month and a half, and then before it was a month and a half again. So this is unsustainable. And even after the shutdown was over, I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, they're going to get back paid." The back pay doesn't cover the fact that you just lost and you have to pay all these fees. Okay, and that's a tremendous issue, and I just want to say thank you for being on. I'm going to pass it back to you, Brittany.
Thank you, Johnny. Next up, we'll hear from Carlos Rodriguez, who is the TSA Council Region 1 Vice President, covering airports in New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. So, Carlos, you can go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Carlos Rodriguez. I serve as Secretary Treasurer of Local 2222, New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. Also as Council 100 Regional Vice President. I'm a second-generation Dominican. I'm a witness to 9/11 and a City University of New York graduate. I love my city. I love my country. But most importantly, I love the great men and women of TSA who I serve with every day, fulfilling our oath to protect people and freedom of movement and commerce. So it's really difficult to do that when we don't know who's protecting us. At this point, at this stage, my coworkers and I have been working for over months and weeks without getting paid. This is the second time in this year only, and we haven't even recuperated from the previous shutdown. This is putting the livelihoods of our family, the people in our communities at stake, and the appreciation and gratitude we have felt from the traveling public. With our constituents that voted for the people in positions of power who are making the decisions for us and who I feel are using us as a pawn in their political game, those people are not happy with that. I see it because I see their gratitude. I see them every time they pass through the checkpoint. They tell us thank you and everything, how the community has come together to help us out. But it shouldn't be the job of the community to figure out how do we make ends meet with our families. We work for a job, we should get paid. A part of the American dream that I was sold was that working for the government was honorable and stable. But this is not honorable or stable at this moment. And more importantly, the way that I feel is that at this point, we being threatened by all sides, the political atmosphere and the international situations. I don't want to go into fear mongering, but the depths of what's happening here is very big. And I think that everything should be done so we could focus on doing our job and continue to be the only government agency that has 100% satisfaction and success rate. We were created to stop a 9/11 from happening, and no planes have fallen out of the U.S. skies as long as we have been put in place. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carlos. Next up, we'll hear from John Hubert, who is the Region 2 Vice President covering airports in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So, John, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak. John Hubert, you there?
I think he just fell off, actually.
Okay. I'm going to go next to Duncan McGuire, who is you're there? Perfect. Okay.
Mayor. Yeah. Good afternoon, all. I just want to introduce myself. I'm AFG Local 55 President. I'm currently the TSA Region 2 Vice President over regions from South Carolina all the way down to Virgin Islands, where I'm originally from. Been getting into officers in airports is the TSA feels that they've been left behind. Congress is engaged in this war of a back.
Okay, I don't see him and I don't hear him anymore. So next we're going to go to Duncan McGuire, Region 5 Vice President, covering airports in Alaska, Colorado, Idaho, Missouri, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming.
Not Missouri, though. I think that was an error. Folks are asking why employees are still working for TSA when they aren't getting paid. Aside from TSA employees swore an oath to this country, a lot of these members have worked here for over 20 years, not just members, employees, and they're nearing retirement in the next 5 to 10 years. They finally started making decent money after AFG secured a pay raise in 2022. So for them to leave TSA and start new somewhere else doesn't make sense at all, because then you lose all that time. It's also one of the biggest threats with privatization. All those years of federal service are thrown out the window. And then there's no reason to even stick around. So it'll be an entirely new workforce with little to no experience taking over if more and more airports start privatizing. Emotional health issues have also been huge. Families are struggling to pay rent. Mortgages forbearance is going into forbearance soon for a lot of families. Not just families, single people. IRS is going to be wanting their money soon. Taxes are due on the 15th of next month. So if you owe taxes and you can't pay them, are they going to garnish our back pay, when we finally do get it? Pride's thrown out the windows as our government forces working people to rely on food drives, handouts, and public support, all while feeling not just abandoned by our own government, but straight up betrayed by both political parties. As an Army infantry veteran, I have seen the government fuck over our vets time and time again. Now they're repeatedly doing it to multiple federal employees, especially TSA, FEMA, and Coast Guard. The agency itself has created new policies to manipulate, threaten, and discipline employees since all these shutdowns have started. And they change every shutdown to make it harder and harder for people to come to work if they're not getting paid without getting disciplined for it. And lastly, I just want to mention that I've been asked personally about FEGLI life insurance policies regarding suicide. So just let that settle in for a moment, that some people are actually considering suicide as the only option to get their loved ones money when they can't bring in anymore. So thank you.
Ooh, that was chilling. Thank you, Duncan. Next up, we're going to hear from LaShonda Palmer, who is the president of Local 333, covering Philadelphia and Wilmington, Delaware airports.
Hello, everyone. As she said, my name is LaShonda Palmer, and I am the local president of AFGE Local 333. And I do represent all the wonderful officers here in Philadelphia International Airport and Wilmington Airport. As you know, many of us are still showing up to do our jobs without a paycheck. That is the reality of this shutdown. The employees of this agency have chose between gas to come to work, food for their families. Some cannot even afford co-pays for their doctor visits or pick up medication. We have single parents, grandparents, caregivers, and families who are under real financial strain. Yet, they are still expected to report and perform at full capacity. Morale is low, stress is high, the uncertainty is taking a toll, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. We are asking for one simple thing. Respect our workforce, show some compassion, and resolve this shutdown so the people who keep this country running are no longer forced to carry this burden without pay. And to actually close out, I'm asking for everyone to take some responsibility about this putting us in this unfortunate position. Do the right thing by us and make us whole when this shutdown is over. Thank you.
Thank you, LaShonda. Next up, we'll hear from Aaron Barker, who is the president of AFGE Local 554, which covers airports in Georgia. Aaron, go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining the call today. You've heard from various of our colleagues already about what officers are experiencing. And one thing that I want to say about the situation with ICE coming into the airport, and I can speak for Atlanta specifically. Their monitoring lines and or whatever. Atlanta Airport already has staff that does that. They're not TSA employees. The city of Atlanta has staff that monitors and directs traffic already in Atlanta. Officers across the nation, and I don't know what's happening at other airports, but for them to have them come in knowing that they're collecting a per diem check and hotels to come to these airports while officers are not receiving a paycheck is also, I feel like it's waste. It's a waste of money that could have been coming into officers' bank accounts. So I wanted to.
You've been listening live now to a TSA union presser, a virtual presser for this partial government shutdown, with a lot of TSA agents calling out sick and wondering when they're going to get paid once again. We need to take a break. Here's special guests on the other side here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 1:32 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal. We thank you for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. Excited to talk about this next fella because he drives the number 20 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And after 4 wins last season, including a 3-race winning streak to start 2025, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell is one of the most talked about drivers in NASCAR right now. Christopher, we thank you for joining us here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Yep, thank you for taking the time. You're the busy man. 3rd in Darlington last weekend. That deserves a congratulations as well. I knew it. I knew you were going to.
Unfortunately, we didn't finish 3rd. But it was still a good race for us. So.
Oh, still a good race. Okay. Well, you do head to Martinsville this weekend. The Cookout 400. Carlene's one of favorites because she gets all the hot dogs she wants, and and something that you have won before, right? 22.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So going into this weekend, what goes through your mind as you've been a previous winner and you've got this track down?
Yeah, Martinsville is just always such a fun. Well, I say fun. It can be fun. It can be trying for a competitor, but for a race fan, it is always super exciting. And I think the tougher it is on us competitors, the more enjoyable it is for the race fans, and that's why Martinsville is always one of the fan favorites to get to. And this spring race, with it being cut down to 400 laps around Martinsville, it makes the action just so much tighter. And all the drivers become a little bit more antsy because it's a little shorter race than what we have in the fall, and it makes it super exciting.
Yeah, trading paint most of the day, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, exactly. For us fans, as we watch, so exciting. What does it feel like behind the wheel? Is it just nerve-wracking the whole time?
It can be. It depends on how your day is going. I've had days at Martinsville where you feel like you're on top of the world and everything's going right. You're the one leading laps. You're able to pass guys at will. And then I've been on the other side of it too, where you're just in a battle with all of your competitors and everyone's running into you. So you never know what you're going to get at Martinsville. Sometimes it's a full contact sport. Sometimes you got a lot of beating and banging, a bunch of wrecks and yellow flags. And then other times you have long green flag runs, which become really taxing on your cars, on your body, on your tires. So you just never know what you're going to get at Martinsville.
What can you reveal about the game plan as far as strategy? Is it strategy as much as it is speed then, to go all out when you have a long green flag run?
Yeah, it certainly, strategy is a big topic of conversation, and especially going into the 2026 season, NASCAR has implemented a new high horsepower package that will be taking to Martinsville for the very first time this weekend. So tire wear is going to be really, really big, and nobody knows exactly what the tire degradation is going to be until we show up this weekend. So I could imagine that strategy is going to look a lot different than what we've had in years past, but nobody knows until we get on track.
Still early, but so far this season, the 2026 season, strong on paper, but obviously so much to leave on the table. And then last season, missing the championship for. How do you process a season? Do you leave it all behind and just kind of a clean slate, clean focus this season, or what's your process?
Yeah, well, certainly 2025 was mixed with ups and downs. We started off 2025 with probably one of the highest moments in my career. Winning 3 races in a row was absolutely incredible. And then throughout the summer months, we kind of struggled a little bit and kind of fell down in those point standings. Was able to rebound for a pretty good finish, but yeah, we certainly missed out on the ultimate prize of that championship and making it to that championship event. So it leaves us hungrier for more in 2026, and I take a lot of pride in what we've done and how close we've come, because I know that we are capable of more, and so it makes me hungry for more, knowing that we haven't reached our potential yet. So I hope 2026 is the year, and we're off to a really good start. We've been so close to reaching victory lane in 2026, but obviously it's eluded us and not having a win so far. But it could come this weekend at Martinsville.
Joe Gibbs Racing, definitely in that high caliber racing team, and you and some of your teammates racing against the likes of Denny and Martin. Does that push you? And how is it like racing against each other all under one roof? What is What is the behind the scenes? What does Monday look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's tough. It is very tough. And at Joe Gibbs Racing, we're very fortunate to have some of the fastest cars on the track for sure. But what that does is it creates a very competitive environment amongst the teammates. And we have had, it's been no secret, we've had several run-ins amongst the teammates, but we've done really well racing respectfully so far in 2026. So, you never know what's going to happen. I say that a lot, but the gloves come off whenever you're racing for a win.
No doubt, no doubt. With that competitive spirit, we expect nothing less. Christopher, we thank you. You looking forward to, this weekend? When do you head out? What's your game off the track?
It's a really relatively quick weekend for us. I competed in all 3 races in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series and the Cup Series last weekend at Darlington. This weekend at Martinsville, a little bit easier for me. So just a quick trip up Saturday to do some practice and then Sunday for the race. But I'll be sure to be tuned in to the modified race on Friday night and then that O'Reilly Series race Saturday night. So plenty to do for a race fan up in Martinsville.
All right, all on the weekends where Christopher Bell, thank you for joining us during a very busy and exciting season. We wish you plenty of success in 2026. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Thank you, everyone.
It's 1:40 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. North Carolina Governor Josh Stein in Rockingham County this afternoon making an economic announcement. Let's go ahead and listen into this press conference right now from the Department of Commerce for North Carolina here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
In Eden specifically. Today we kick off a new round of jobs announcements that our whole team of North Carolina and Economic Development has been working on for a long time. There's going to be some exciting announcements to come. But it's such a thrill to start with this announcement here in rural North Carolina, because when we think about our strategy for economic development, it begins and ends with ensuring that we have opportunity in every single corner of the state, places like where I grew up in Williamston and places like this in Eden. So with this announcement, we know it could be happening anywhere in the world, but it's happening right here because this is a community with a strong manufacturing legacy and prowess and a keen understanding of the partnerships necessary for a project like this to succeed. What makes our economic development efforts successful in North Carolina are our people, a great workforce, our places, communities like this one, and those partnerships. Partners like Lee Cockrum, who's one of the finest economic developers in all the state. Partners like the Department of Commerce's Office of Energy and Infrastructure, which helped us to bring this project to life. And partners like the General Assembly, Senator Berger, Representative Pirtle, all that you do to provide us resources to support economic development. And our local partners especially. Thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership. I want to call out, of course, Commissioner Mark Richardson, who serves on the NC Works Commission, which helps us ensure that North Carolina's workforce, our workforce development, was recently named the best in the country. We continue to do that successfully thanks to leaders like Commissioner Richardson. Days like this allow us to celebrate the collaboration that brought us yet another record-breaking year in economic development in 2025, where we announced 35,000 great-paying jobs and $24 billion in investment in the state of North Carolina, validating North Carolina as the best state in America for business. Continuing on our record-breaking and award-winning economic development is a top priority for our next speaker, and I should know because he reminds me every single day that we got to keep working on it. He created the Council on Workforce and Apprenticeships last year to ensure that we are laser-focused on ensuring that best-in-class workforce development stays ahead of the curve, make sure that communities like this one are prepared for the next opportunity like the one we're going to announce today. He is committed to creating terrific job opportunities in every single corner of the state. So I ask you to please help me in welcoming to the podium the 76th Governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein.
Thank you, Secretary Lilly, for that kind introduction, and much more importantly, thank you for the excellent job you're doing as Secretary of Commerce. We are fortunate to have him, and evidently to do economic development well, you must be named Lee. Senator Berger, good to be with you. Mayor, Commissioner, we appreciate your local leadership, and this is a good day. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. If you work hard in your life, you should be able to achieve your dreams. It should not matter where you come from. You should be able to achieve whatever it is that your heart sets out to. That fundamentally is the promise of North Carolina, and delivering on that promise is what drives my administration. It's what drives our state government. We want this to be true everywhere in North Carolina, including in Rockingham County. It is in that spirit that we are here to make an exciting announcement. SEA Energy is establishing the first manufacturing facility outside of Brazil, the first manufacturing facility anywhere in the world outside of Brazil, here in Eden, North Carolina. And what it means for this community is truly exciting. 160 good-paying jobs, jobs that are going to pay 1.5 times the county average. They're also, and they're going to be making $25 million of investment in this facility right here. This is a big win for North Carolina. SEA Energy is Brazil-based manufacturer of voltage regulators, and they are a leader in modernizing electrical assets. So to all the SEA folks in the room, welcome home to North Carolina. Thank you. The way I see it, North Carolina was a perfect choice for SEA Energy to call home. Last year, we were ranked the top state for business in this country for the third time in 4 years. The top state for workforce development in the country. The top state for economic development in the country. We were the top state for job growth in the entire nation in the fourth quarter. We had the top year for job announcements in the history of North Carolina last year. And we are leading the way on the clean energy economy with more than 110,000 people employed in that sector. It's all because of our top research universities and community college system, our business-friendly climate, our unmatched quality of life. Usually it's warmer than this, we promise. But above all, it's because of our people. Our people are what makes North Carolina special. Our highly skilled workforce make businesses want to establish themselves and grow here, and that makes people want to move and stay here. That includes our electrical workforce. Last month, I was pleased to join Siemens Electric as they chose North Carolina out of all states in this country to roll out its new initiative, Careers Electric. And with that initiative, we're going to be training 25,000 new electrical workers over the next 10 years. These are going to be people skilled to work in energy and infrastructure. Electrical careers are in demand and pay well, putting people on a path to financial stability. They also help meet employers' needs, and they meet our state's economic development needs. So we're proud to be training people with the skills that employers depend on for the jobs of today and tomorrow. Today's announcement is the result of a strong collaboration of these company executives we have with us, elected officials from both parties, and state and local economic development professionals. Economic development is a team sport, and Team North Carolina is the best in the business. In addition to Secretary Lilly and his team at the Department of Commerce, I want to thank the North Carolina Economic Development Partnership. I want to thank the North Carolina General Assembly, Senator Berger, Representative Pirtle. I want to thank the University of North Carolina system, including North Carolina A&T State University, North Carolina State University, and UNC Charlotte. I want to thank the North Carolina Community College system and Rockingham Community College. Duke Energy. I want to thank Rockingham County, its Board of Commissioners, and its Economic Development Department. And finally, I want to thank the City of Eden. Of course, the greatest of all thanks goes to the friends of SEA Energy. They chose North Carolina out of this entire globe. Today is an important day. This is the first Brazilian investment using state incentives in North Carolina in well over a decade, and we don't know how much longer, actually. And so at this time, I'm going to invite forward Jose Roberto Reinaldo Beto, CEO of SEA Energy, and I want to give him a gift of thanks. It is a pot made by famed potter Ben Owen. Ben's from Seagrove, and it has our state seal on it, including esse quam videre, which means to be rather than to seem. And by investing in the state and our people, you all are exemplifying this motto. We thank you for believing in and investing in North Carolina, and we are incredibly excited to see all the good things that you and your workforce produce here in Eden, North Carolina. Thank you so much, Beto. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Speak. Good afternoon. Dear Governor, distinguished guests, elected officials, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to stand here today. It's not precise to say we could have chosen every place in the globe. We should have chosen U.S., United States of America. There is no other option. North Carolina is part of the effort for us to picking up places. At the end of the day, we pick up North Carolina because the very professional, we are convinced that will be our home for the next many, many, many years. I will not be here in 2068 when the company will become 100 years, but I hope someone will be here in 2068 and remember the day that we start up. And I will ask you for some patience trying to introduce what we do, who we are, and so I need some minutes to do that. And not being a native speaker is that good, but I'll do my best. TSEA is a company founded in Brazil in 1968, so almost 60 years ago. And what TSEA does, TSEA is acronym for Transformers, Services, Engineering of the Americas. And what we've been doing the last 50, 60 years, we do manufacture equipment that is now called, is more fancy, is now called the critical infrastructure for electrification. Used to be called Capital Goods Company. We do very large equipment, but now it's critical infrastructure for electrification. We work for grid stability. We work for grid stability in the sense that we work for generation, renewable or traditional. We do produce or manufacture equipment to transmission lines. We do manufacture equipment to distribution of energy. At the end of the day, what we've been doing for the last 50 or 60 years, that we try to ensure that our equipment is never a cause of outage. When there is a problem, it's not because we try to be the company that is reliable manufacturer of those equipments that cannot fail. At the end of the day, that's what makes us wake up every single day. Not on our guard, not on our turn, not on our watch. The equipment will be reliable. We'll be there for 30 years, 40 years. The company was founded many years ago, and there's still equipment that after 30 years, 40 years, there, reliably working and functioning and making the power running smoothly across the communities. So that's what we do. We produce, we manufacture equipment for the power sector. And 3 years ago, we began selling to US customers. This was a company that for 55 years was a Brazilian-based company selling to Brazilian utilities. To resume the story, I mean, to sum up, it was a Brazilian company selling to Brazilian utilities. And 3 years ago, we started selling to US companies. We started selling to Duke, or to Florida Power, or to AP, or to Entergy. And first, in 2023, it was like 10% of our output went to US. Okay, 2024 is like 50%. And last year was like 80%. So we are to some extent embraced by the customers of the US customers. And that's, you know what, for me, it's difficult, I guess, difficult for you getting that perspective, but it's like being invited to play in the major league. We are minor league people. We are in Brazil. But for good reason, because we are very, I mean, the quality of product is good. I mean, we've been in the business for 60 years, and transformers work, and voltage regulators work, mobile substations work, and the quality is good, reliable. Our commercial effort did work well. But at the end of the day, a company in Charlotte or a company in Florida or in Houston decided to take the decision to buy from a Brazilian supplier 10,000 miles from here that takes months to get here, and there is the freight and the ship, etc. And they gave us that opportunity. I am more than grateful for that. I mean, how could I not be here? So we are in the position that we are selling most of our production to US customers. 50 different US customers across US. So our decision is, you know what? We are now becoming more and more and more a US company. If we are successful, I'm not sure if we work hard to live up to that, but if we are successful, our plan by 2030, that's 4 years or maybe 5 years, is to become a US-based company. And for you, it's very, I mean, again, I can give you some perspective on that, because everyone says that his backyard is not that good. I give you different perspective. It's easier to build up an enduring company here than elsewhere in the world. It's easier because the workforce is skilled, is productive, because the financial system works, because access to capital is more affordable and broader, because the market is larger, because customers value quality over price. It's easier to become an enduring company here than everywhere else. So that's one of the reasons. And if we do succeed, maybe in 2030, 31, 5 years, 4 years, I don't know, we'll become a US company. based on U.S. governance, under U.S. bylaws, under U.S. accounting practices, based and financed by U.S. banks, hiring U.S. lawyer firms, and having people here that we're beginning that. At the end of the day, we'll be serving America's markets from Brazil and from U.S. We are in Brazil 1,200 people. And maybe we'll probably be 150, maybe 160 or 200. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, it depends on how able we are to conquer the market. It's a very competitive market. We hope we are able to do that. We are up to the task for doing that. But our plan, our goal, is in 4 or 5 years become a U.S.-based company. Our executive team are now 9 Brazilians, all men, 9 Brazilians, and hopefully in 3 or 4 years we'll be half and half, maybe led by a U.S. executive. Our board members are 5 board members, 4 Brazilians, 1 U.S. guy, retired guy on the power sector. And we do need to have 2 or 3 senior power sector people who can help us to become a more U.S.-based company. And that's our goal.
You're watching live a press conference, an announcement of a Brazilian business moving to Rockingham County in North Carolina. Good news for the local economy as well as the Tar Heel State. We've got a break coming up here, top of the hour on Live Impact News on WCNC+. We'll see you in 2. Back here now at 2 o'clock on Live Impact News on WCNC+. I want to let you know that NTSB is set to have a press conference with an update on the latest at LaGuardia after Sunday night's fatal crash involving an Air Canada regional jet and a fire truck on the ground from Port Authority that happened at LaGuardia Airport. So they have a press conference coming up here. They've pushed it back now to 2:15. We'll get the very latest as we can still see the wreckage, a live picture there on the ground right at the end of the runway. So a couple of runways remain shut down at this hour as the investigation continues. In the meantime, I want to get you back out to Eden, Rockingham County, where Saya Manufacturing is moving their headquarters or one of their plants from Brazil to Eden. Good news for the Department of Commerce and an economic announcement, as you've heard from Governor Josh Stein, as we continue to listen in now from the president of the Brazilian company here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
And 2068 will be the centenary of the company. I won't be here. I'm 66, but hopefully someone will remember that day. And we are grateful. Grateful for the welcome, but grateful for the professionalism, for the things, the process. The process was smooth and was thoughtful and very, very professional. I really appreciate. I thank you very much about that. And to finish my remarks, personally, there's Mark Twain who once said that the secret to getting ahead is to get started. So we are starting up today in Eden, in Rocking Country, in North Carolina, United States of America. Thank you very much.
Now it's easy for me, right? Thank you for the words. I'm Beto. First, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Beto, I'm CEO of TSEA Energy, and I'm honored to be here with all of you today. What a day. As you heard, this moment represents an important milestone in TSEA's journey, but more than that, it marks the beginning of a new chapter that we are very proud to start here in North Carolina. From the very beginning, we're looking for more than just locations. We're looking for a long-term partner, a place where we could build something meaningful, sustainable, and impactful together. And it quickly became clear that North Carolina was the right choice. Here, we found not only a strong and dynamic business environment, but also a state that plays a central role in the U.S. energy landscape. And most importantly, people who genuinely believe in collaboration, partnership, and getting things done. I'd like to take a moment to recognize and thank those who made this possible. Governor Josh Stein, thank you for your leadership and for the vision you bring to this great state. Secretary Lilly, thank you for your support throughout this journey. Mayor Neville Hall and the Vice Chair, Charlie Hall, thank you for the warm welcome and embracing us a part of this community. Senator Phil Berger, thank you for your continued engagement and support. Representative Reese Perdle, thank you for encouragement and support. We are especially grateful to Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina through Christopher Chung for his leadership and to Kristen Brum for her outstanding work. And our sincere thanks to Lee Cochran and the entire Rockland County team that their dedication, professionalism, and commitment and make the project a reality. I also like to recognize Henry Gonzalez. He's my boss, please. Tell me something nice about myself. And Friend Capital for their vision and continued trust in TSEA's growth. And today I want to make a very special acknowledgement to the TSEA team. This achievement, was a hard work, really hard work. And the result of years of dedication, hard work and belief, a team that never loses sight of quality, integrity, and purpose, and that has the courage to think long-term and act with consistency every single day. This moment belongs to you. We are here to invest, to grow, to create opportunities, and to contribute to the strength and resilience of the energy infrastructure in this country. We are very proud to the journey that brought us here, and we are excited about the future of the U.S. and even more excited to build together with you. Thank you very much. So, Senator Colbert, please.
Well, thank you. And Henry, if we could package that speech of yours, to see America through fresh eyes, the comments that you made, it's wonderful. It's very refreshing, and we want to welcome Tisea Energy to Rockingham County and to North Carolina. You know, this is a big day for the city of Eden. It's a big day for Rockingham County. It's a big day for the entire region. And we all know who live here that Eden has a rich history in manufacturing. As we continue to build from the devastation caused by NAFTA, we're seeing the results of our pro-growth tax and regulatory policies, and we are seeing a renewed interest here in North Carolina and in the Triad. This manufacturing resurgence is not a matter of accident. Tisea Energy sees here what many of us knew and know about our skilled workforce, coupled with a pro-growth, pro-business economic environment, and how it turns into a winning formula for successful economic growth and development. You know, top flight educational and job training opportunities, a strong workforce, reasonable regulation, lower taxes, and a comprehensive and competitive business environment are the things that businesses are looking for, and it's what we have here in Rockingham County and what we have here in North Carolina. Those are the things that attract new, growing industries and businesses right here to Eden and to our state. And Tisea Energy will be a vital partner in a critical economic sector for our state, with its commitment to create jobs and to contribute to our economy and our economy's role in energy production. Our General Assembly has prioritized least cost, reliable energy generation for our growing economy, and the products manufactured right here in Rockingham County will support that. You know, we often take for granted that when we plug in an appliance or we flip a switch on a light, that the power will be there and everything will work as it always has. But it takes so much more than just flipping a switch. It takes the production and delivery of energy to residents and businesses. Tisea manufactures important components and equipment to help ensure that you can get the power you need and that it is reliable. I want to thank everyone involved in this project. I especially want to thank the people of Eden and Rockingham County for their continued commitment to growth and development in this region. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Neville Hall, Mayor of the City of Eden, and what an exciting announcement. What we heard today is more than just good news. It's a powerful affirmation of what's possible when we work together with a shared vision for growth and opportunity. This investment is a testament to Eden's strong commitment to economic development and to creating an environment where businesses can succeed and thrive. We are especially grateful for Tisea has chosen to repurpose this great manufacturing facility, bringing it back to life with new jobs, competitive wages, and significant capital investment for our community. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Henry, Roberto, and the Tisea team during the recruitment process, and I can personally attest to their passion of their product and strong community culture. I will say that the team members that I have met have all been extremely professional, and they've been a lot of fun to be around. The times they were visiting during the winter, it seemed like every time we had a recent snow, and I had to convince the Brazilians that we actually do have grass under that white stuff. So I have great confidence that they will not only succeed here in Eden, but become a valued part of our community. This announcement also highlights the importance of partnerships across the state, and especially with Rockingham County. By working collaboratively with our county leaders, our state partners, and others, we were able to compete for and win projects such as this. We are proud that Tisea has chosen Eden, and we look forward to supporting their success for years to come. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce a close partner to the City of Eden, a true champion for economic development in our community, and my friend Lee Cockram, Director of Rockingham County Economic Development.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief because I think a lot of the folks have actually, said thank yous. But I do think it's important, and honestly, just as Governor Stein said a few moments ago, economic development does not happen in a vacuum. Not one single person can say that they did this. This truly is a team effort. So it's very important for me that we make sure that we recognize those who have put up with us, gotten on agendas last minute, and have been willing to work with this fantastic team. But first and foremost, I do want to thank the TSEA team. I want to thank Henry and Beto, Mauricio and Rafa and Ed and Pamela.
We leave Rockingham County right now and switch gears and take you back out to LaGuardia Airport, where NTSB is now starting a press conference. The latest on the deadly collision at LaGuardia Airport that happened Sunday night. Let's listen in for an update here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
In charge, or IIC, as we refer to the investigator in charge. Again, he's a senior aviation accident investigator that has been with the board for 34 years. So today, as I mentioned yesterday, today's our full first day on scene, and we have a lot to cover. In fact, we started the morning with a 2-hour meeting just to organize our investigative groups and walk through what we needed to accomplish today. Fortunately, the entire NTSB team has arrived. Like I said, yesterday we had significant delays with investigators getting here due to backups of TSA lines, and in fact I understand that this press conference had to move because the lines were actually wrapping around the building. But I do have a lot of investigative information to share today. First, as I mentioned yesterday, we were able to take possession of the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. That was at 9:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Our local investigator, had immediately began a trip down to our headquarters in Washington, D.C. to take the CVR and FDR to our labs for downloading and for analysis. We do have some preliminary information to share from the final 3 minutes from the cockpit voice recorder. And again, I just want to say it's preliminary and is subject to change, and for that I'm going to turn that piece over to Doug Brazy.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The airplane was equipped with an Akron Aviation Model Survivor 2.5 cockpit voice recorder and an Akron Aviation Model FA2100 flight data recorder. The cockpit voice recorder contained more than 25 hours of good quality audio across 4 separate channels. The flight data recorder contained approximately 80 hours of data and recorded more than 400 parameters. The NTSB will convene a cockpit voice recorder group scheduled for tomorrow at the NTSB headquarters in Washington, D.C. to review the accident flight recording and produce a written transcript. The following is a summary of events captured on the cockpit voice recorder during the final 3 minutes of the recording. All times are referenced to the end of the CVR recording. 3 minutes and 7 seconds prior to the end of the recording, the approach controller instructed the airplane to contact LaGuardia Tower. At 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the flight crew lowered the landing gear. At 2 minutes and 22 seconds, the flight crew checked in with the LaGuardia Tower. At 2 minutes and 17 seconds, the LaGuardia Tower cleared the airplane to land on runway 4 and advised that they were number 2 for landing. At time 1 minute and 52 seconds, the flight crew set the flaps to 30 degrees. At 1 minute and 33 seconds, the flight crew set the flaps to 45 degrees. At 1 minute and 26 seconds, an electronic 1,000 call-out occurred from the enhanced ground proximity warning system, indicating that the airplane was 1,000 feet above the ground. At 1 minute and 12 seconds, the flight crew confirmed that the landing checklist was complete. At 1 minute and 3 seconds, an airport vehicle made a radio transmission to the tower, but that transmission was stepped on by another radio transmission, and the source of who made that transmission has yet to be identified. At 54 seconds, the flight crew acknowledged that the airplane was 500 feet above the ground and on a stable approach. At 40 seconds, the LaGuardia Tower asked which vehicle needed to cross a runway. At 28 seconds, Truck 1 made a radio transmission to the tower. At 26 seconds, the tower acknowledged that radio transmission. At 25 seconds, Truck 1 requested to cross runway 4 at taxiway Delta. At 20 seconds, the tower cleared Truck 1 and company to cross runway 4 at taxiway Delta. At 19 seconds, an electronic 100 enhanced ground proximity warning system callout occurred. At 17 seconds, Truck 1 read back the runway crossing clearance. At 14 seconds, an electronic 50 callout. At 12 seconds, an electronic 30 callout. And at that same time, the tower instructed a Frontier Airlines flight to hold position. At 11 seconds, an electronic 20 callout occurred. And at 10 seconds, an electronic 10 callout occurred. At 9 seconds, the tower instructed Truck 1 to stop. At 8 seconds, there was a sound consistent with the airplane's landing gear touching down on the runway. At 6 seconds, there was a pilot transfer of controls from one pilot to the other. And at 4 seconds, the tower again instructed Truck 1 to stop. At 0 seconds, the recording ended. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Mr. Brazy had mentioned that 6 seconds before the end of the recording, the pilot transferred controls. We do know that the first officer was flying and transferred control to the captain. With respect to aircraft rescue and firefighting operations, we will be developing a timeline of events. We do know that they were responding to a United Airlines flight 2384 at the gate, which had 2 aborted takeoffs, and the ARF, or the Aircraft Rescue and Firefighters, had received information that there were fumes or a smoke or some sort of smell in the cabin, so they were en route to address that. Truck 1, which Mr. Brazy had mentioned, had collided with the aircraft. We do know that there were other vehicles behind Truck 1, which did not begin to cross the runway. We have seen varying information about how many vehicles, so we need to verify that information, and we'll provide it at a later time. Truck 1, however, did not have a transponder. With respect to air traffic control, we have seen different information about how many certified professional controllers were in the facility. And we need to verify that starting with interviews this afternoon. We'll begin to interview the local controller at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We do have logs, but there's also conflicting information, including dates and times on the logs. So now we have to go through that and rectify some of those inconsistencies. We do, however, know that there were 2 people in the cab, 2 people in the tower cab at the time of collision: the local controller and the controller in charge. Again, local controller and controller in charge. For those who may be watching and aren't familiar with aviation, the local controller manages active runways and the immediate airspace surrounding the airport. That local controller had signed on at 10:45, and the shift would have ended at 6:45 a.m. That doesn't mean that he was in position at 10:45, but that he had just signed in at 10:45 p.m. The controller in charge is responsible for safety of operations, all safety of operations. He had clocked in or signed in at 10:30 p.m. And that shift would have ended at 6:30 a.m. Again, that was signing in at 10:30 p.m. The controller in charge was also doing the duties of the clearance delivery position. The clearance delivery controller provides pilots with their departure clearance. It is not clear who was conducting the duties of the ground controller. We have conflicting information. We have some information saying it was the controller in charge. We have some information saying it was the local controller. The ground controller duties are that they manage all aircraft and vehicle movements on the taxiways, and that generally excludes active runways. So these two positions were combined into two positions. And what we do know is that that is in the standard operating procedures for LaGuardia. It's for the midnight shift. It's also common practice across the national airspace where you would have two controllers in the tower cab during the midnight shift. The midnight shift, as a reminder, is one that we have many times at the NTSB raised concerns about with respect to fatigue. Again, I do not know. We have no indication that was a factor here, but it is a shift that we have been focused on in past investigations. Now, we also know, as I had mentioned yesterday, that LaGuardia has ASDX. ASDX is a runway safety system which allows air traffic controllers to track surface movement of aircraft and vehicles. Yesterday I mentioned that we requested from FAA the ASD replay of the event. That is a replay of the display of information that would have been available in the tower cab. We also asked the Tech Center for the analysis of ASD. Their analysis shows that the ASDX system did not alert. The analysis, and I'm going to quote the analysis here. I will repeat it a second time. ASDX did not generate an alert due to the close proximity of vehicles merging and unmerging near the runway, resulting in the inability to create a track of high confidence. Again, the analysis is, quote, ASDX did not generate an alert due to the close proximity of vehicles merging and unmerging near the runway, resulting in the inability to create a track of high confidence. Now, I saw the replay, and there were two targets, so radar, because there's no transponder, you have radar. So two targets with radar returns on taxiway Delta. What it looks like on a replay are two blobs on taxiway Delta. We also don't see any of them go in front of the plane on the runway. We do also know from the replay that the runway status lights were functioning according to the replay, but we still have to verify that with tech ops from the FAA. Now, I do want to address one thing, which is reports of distraction. I have seen a number of reports from press about distraction, whether there was distraction among controllers. Look, I would caution pointing fingers at controllers and saying distraction was involved. This is a heavy workload environment. You had a United Airlines flight. We still have to determine what happened at shift change, which was around 10:30. We have to determine who else was in the tower and the facility and available at the time. We know that controller was still on duty for several minutes afterwards. Normally, they would be relieved. We have questions about that. Was anybody available to relieve that controller? We don't know that yet. We also have questions about what else was occurring, what other traffic they were dealing with at the time. So one thing I will close with before I take questions is we rarely, if ever, investigate a major accident where it was one failure. Our aviation system is incredibly safe because there are multiple layers of defense built in to prevent an accident. So when something goes wrong, that means many, many things went wrong. And so here, that's why we're here. We're here to prevent this from reoccurring, prevent this from happening again. And that's going to take some time. So with that, I will take questions. I ask that you raise your hand, state your name and your affiliation.
You've been watching live the latest from NTSB conducting investigation on that fatal regional jet from Air Canada at LaGuardia Airport. We're going to take a quick break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Right now at 2:30, I want to bring you breaking news out of Mooresville, getting word of a deadly golf cart incident involving juveniles. This happened yesterday. Mooresville Police Department responding to a golf cart accident at the intersection of Swamp, Rose Drive, and Golden Star Lane involving several juveniles. And we learned that one was seriously injured who eventually succumbed to those injuries. Showing you a map right now. James is pulling that up for us here. We are learning that it might have been a cheerleader from the area, and a cheer team did post about a juvenile's death and said that one of their athletes was tragically hurt in this incident yesterday. So we will continue to follow this news here on WCNC Charlotte, but a deadly golf cart incident in Mooresville, killing at least one juvenile. Right now, we want to take you back out to NTSB with that update, a live briefing for the latest fatal crash out of LaGuardia here on Live Impact News.
The question is on combining positions, because we saw the combining of positions in the mid-air collision that occurred near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport about a year ago. Our understanding right now, and again, this is preliminary and subject to change, our understanding is that in the DCA midair, there were procedures followed, a list like traffic volume, staffing available, training, workload that was considered in order to combine positions like the helicopter position, the local control position in DCA. In this situation for the midnight shift, it is standard operating procedure that they only have two on duty, and those two perform the duties of other controllers. That is our understanding right now. However, we're going to further dig into that as part of our investigation. Certainly, I can tell you that our air traffic control team has stated this is a problem, that this is a concern for them for years. They've had this concern for quite a long time. I can understand it's a concern, especially if there's a heavy workload.
SDX did not work, and during the near collisions of 2023, you repeatedly said that SDX should be at more airports and it could prevent collisions. How upset does it make you that it's clear that it did not work in this scenario?
Well, the question is, how upset does it make me that ASDX didn't work? Because we've repeatedly recommended that ASDX work. Well, in order for ASDX to work well, you have to know where ground vehicles and aircraft are. So in this case, that vehicle did not have a transponder. And it would have been helpful when you have a radar radar target. It does not provide you with the information that you need like it would for an aircraft as a controller. Yes.
Jackson Roscoe with Global News Canada. Is there any indication from the voice or data reporters that the pilots saw the fire truck or were aware that it was on the runway?
Is there any indication from the CVR that the pilot saw the fire truck on the runway? I don't have information at this time on that. However, we are doing further analysis on our cockpit voice recorder. We have a group that we have formed that will analyze the CVR. And part of when they analyze is they will talk in the group about what they're hearing, what they've heard, any sort of background noises, and we'll provide a transcript, and then we'll release that publicly, so we'll know more then.
Chair Hamidi, Andrew Siff from NBC4 New York, WNBC TV. With regard to the midnight shift, is it literally a midnight shift that you've expressed concerns about in the past, or is it sort of that later shift when there's typically less traffic at an airport? The reason I ask it is around this time, late at night on a Sunday night at LaGuardia, there's still lots of arrivals. To that degree, does that raise questions about the protocol and staffing here at this airport?
Well, so the question is about the shift, and are we just concerned about that shift in the past, or would there be other shifts? And does it make sense to have two controllers in the cab with such a busy airport, and this be sort of standard operating procedures and common practice across the national airspace? I think I restated it accurately and have now forgotten what you asked me. But on your standard operating procedure, on the standard operating procedures, look, LaGuardia is 900 flights, I believe, per day. That's pretty substantial. It's not the same as other airspace or other airports across the national airspace. That's certainly something we will look at as part of this investigation. How that would that make sense? You know, why would that make sense at LaGuardia? We will. That is part of our analysis in this investigation. And what was the other one?
Well, just as
so on the mid shift, we have identified the mid shift generally as concern in other investigations, largely due to fatigue, because it spans that time frame at your circadian low during the day when you're most fatigued.
Madam Chair.
Chairwoman, Mariela Soldado from Univision, NMAS Univision. Thank you for taking my question. We're talking about one of the biggest airports. So Secretary Duffy said that it's well equipped, well staffed, but when I hear you speak about the main responsibilities that these agents are having in the towers. I'm trying to think, did they know that the other person is doing the other responsibility? Is there a moment that they could be confused as to who is doing what, since they're doing more than one responsibility at a time? Do we know both were trying to help the same emergencies, whether it was the fumes or the runway?
The question was, could there potentially be confusion among the two controllers of who's having what discussion, and could it be that they were both having the same communications, or different communications, or conflicting information communications?
Well, since they're doing more than one job.
Since they're doing more than one job. I can't answer that right now, because that's something we have to investigate as part of this accident scenario. Those are the exact types of questions that we'll ask when we interview the controllers, both the two that were in the cab at the time and the other controllers that may have been on duty, either, and include previously or after that. But one thing I want to do is come back to something that Pete asked about, which is controllers and the information they should have, and ASDX and our past recommendations. Controllers should have all the information, the tools to do their job. All the information they need. We've recommended ASDX, but you have to have information on ground movements, whether that's aircraft or vehicles moving on the airport, in taxiways, on runways. They should have all the information. This is 2026. The Secretary talks about upgrading our air traffic control system. We have an old air traffic control system. This is why he talks about that. We need to upgrade, but we also need to improve safety across the air. It's not just air traffic control, it's safety all around. Yes?
Chairperson Matt Chase again from Newsday. I'm wondering, is it common for ground vehicles to have transponders? And second, what does it mean that a radio transmission was stepped on?
Okay. With respect to transponders, the question is it common for ground vehicles to have transponders? I don't have the latest figures on that. I would suggest speaking with the Federal Aviation Administration on that, or you can contact Eric and we'll get back to you on numbers. Should they? That's something we'll determine as part of our investigation. I will tell you that not having a recommendation, yeah, they should. Even though we don't have a recommendation, air traffic controllers should know what's in, before them, whether it's on airport surface or in the airspace. They should have that information to ensure safety. Now, that's not an NTSB recommendation, so I want to be clear. But it could be. We don't know. And your other question on stepped on, the communication was stepped on, it means it may have been a mic key or some sort of interference or interruption of the transmission.
And why would that be significant?
Because somebody else on the other, why would that be significant? He was asking the question on what does stepped on mean with respect to communications. That would be significant because that would mean that somebody may not hear the other part of that communication. Yes, sir?
Ken J. Murphy with WABC.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may, thank you. Does the data recorder give any indication that the pilots made any attempt at evasive action?
And you're probably asking about the flight data recorder. We don't have information, the download from the flight data recorder yet. That group, I believe, is getting together today to start going through the data. We do have good data, but they're going to start looking at it today, and we'll provide further information down the line. You and then you.
Similar to that question, Nate Schwimmer, New York Times. Was there any evidence that the truck tried to swerve or brake as it was crossing the runway? And could you confirm the names of the pilots?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Could you confirm the names of the pilots who died?
Can I confirm the names of the pilots who passed away? No, I would refer you to the New York City Chief Medical Examiner. We don't confirm any fatalities, injuries, or names. And your other question?
The truck, did it turn, did it brake, any evidence?
With respect to the truck, did the truck turn and brake? I've probably seen the same CCTV video that you have. We have to do some further investigation on that, including interviews of both firefighters that were on board.
Two more questions.
Right here.
Yes, Daphne Cameron from La Presse in Montreal. Do we know if the two people in the truck heard the stop? And they were saying they were going to stop, or in truck one, did you hear it?
The question is, do we know if if the two firefighters in the firefighting vehicle heard the directive to stop. We don't know that yet. We need to do interviews of those two firefighters. David.
Dave Sharps from Reuters. In 2023, you held a forum on runway incursions and near misses. And as a result, the FAA started rolling out this runway incursion device for memory aided controllers. Do you know if that was present here or any other additional technology to help? And as part of that, if ADS-B in and out had been mandated, do you think for both the fire truck, in terms of the transponder and the plane, could that have prevented this collision?
The first question on other technology that would have been available to alert to the controllers, I don't have that to provide at this time. Our investigators have to begin their analysis. Again, this is our first full day on scene, and we're not even through the day, but we will have more information on what types of technology might have been available to them. The second question is on whether ADS-B in and out would have helped prevent this. I would just caution, and I've heard the discussion on ADS-B in and out with respect to this particular collision. It happened very quickly. We need to match up times. We need to look at visibility with respect to the airplane coming in and look at the movement and visibility of those in the truck. So we can't say at this time whether that would have made a difference or not.
Madam Chair, can I ask one question about the transponder?
One question.
Any indication as to why Truck 1 did not have a transponder when other trucks did in that caravan?
Let me clarify. The question is on transponder on that truck. We have no indication there were transponders on any of the trucks. But there are transponders on other trucks at other airports, across the nation. In this case, they did not have transponders.
But any indication as to why? No.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Part of the investigation. Thank you so much.
NTSB chairwoman wrapping up the press conference from LaGuardia Airport regarding Sunday night's fatal crash. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 2:46. President Trump participating in the swearing in of DHS Secretary now Mullen, Mark Wayne Mullen, who replaces Kristi Noem from Oklahoma. To the Oval Office we go now. Wrapping up here in Washington, D.C. is Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
3. Well, you're a fantastic representative. Mark Wayne has also been a fantastic advocate for our cherished tribal communities. He's now the first member of the Cherokee Nation ever to serve as a member of the cabinet. I didn't know all these things. I would have picked him faster if I had known. I would have made a quicker decision. Prior to his career in public service, Mark Wayne had a very successful career in business, leaving school at age 20 after his father got sick, taking over his family business and turning it into a multi-million-dollar success story. He's a very successful guy. Mark Wayne has also a career as an MMA fighter. That's why I looked at his ears and I said, I'm not going to fight with him. You can tell a lot about a person by their ears, right? During which he went totally undefeated. He was undefeated during his career, and he's been inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame. And the family is made of fantastic wrestlers, especially that guy right there. That's my favorite guy, huh? And suffered bad injury and come back stronger than ever, I think. So good to have you, man, right? I have no doubt that as he takes the helm of DHS, Mark Wayne will fight for Homeland Security, the United States, and securing the country and making it really strong and the way it should be. Our country's come a long way in the last year. We set it up so beautifully, and then we had 4 years of horror. We had 4 years of disgusting horror, open borders, and things that nobody would even think of. You wouldn't even think of. 25 million people poured into our country. And we've gotten a lot of them out, but we have a lot more to go. 11,888 murderers came into our country. People came in from all over the world, from prisons and gangs, gang members, drug dealers, people from mental institutions, insane asylums. That's the mental institution times 2. And what they allowed to happen to our country can never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. With Mark Wayne, we have somebody that's strong, professional, and fair. As you know, the department that Mark Wayne takes over today is currently shut down by radical left Democrat thugs in Congress who have blocked all funding for DHS because they're trying to shield illegal alien criminals, gang members. They want to protect them from being taken out of the country, drug dealers, murderers. They're protecting them all. I don't know how people can vote for these people. You know, I see the midterms are close. I don't know what close means, but I don't know how people can vote for them. You take a look, men, they want men to be able to play in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. Terrible, but that's the way it is. They don't want to give voter ID. They don't want voter ID for elections. They don't want proof of citizenship for elections. And then they get to vote. And they do cheat. But I don't know, it's hard to believe they can cheat that much. Just in the past few days, we've seen the horrifying consequences of Democrats' deadly open border extremism. They want open borders, and they want to open the borders again if they have their chance, because they think they're going to get votes by doing that. On Thursday, a precious 18-year-old college student named Sheridan Gorman was shot and killed while she was walking in a park. She was just walking in the park, didn't do anything. The illegal alien monster charged with Sheridan's brutal murder had come illegally from Venezuela and been released into our country by Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. And I don't say that because I think he's fine, he's okay. I don't like him, dislike him. I talk about job performance. That's all I care about, job performance. Worst president in history. And Obama wasn't far behind, by the way. But he was then arrested and released again by Democrat governor, a real slob of a governor, J.B. Pritzker, in the sanctuary city of Chicago, which we could make safe in 2 months, I would say. 2 months if we sent in the group, Tom, right? 2 months would be good. 3 months, very good. 4 or 5 months, it would be great. But they would never call because they don't want to do that. All they have to do is call and ask for a little help. The Democrats in Congress do not care how much American blood they shed in their demented pursuit of open borders. From Sheridan Gorman to Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, their quest to flood our country with illegal aliens has left countless American victims in its wake. They never changed. They see what's happening. They never change. That's what they want. They want to get the votes. With sanctuary and sanctuary cities going at levels that they are, and we've ended a lot. We've done a lot. But for some reason, they love it. It's a sanctuary. You know, sanctuary cities are sanctuary for, it's really a sanctuary for criminals. With Secretary Mullen at DHS, we will continue our record-setting efforts to deport these illegal alien criminals from our country, and we are doing at record levels despite a very unfair court system, a radicalized left court system, and others that I'm not too fond of also. And we'll protect innocent American lives. Every single illegal migrant who is a criminal record must be deported immediately. If they have a criminal record, you got to deport them. And there's a lot that came in under Biden. And Kamala, the great border czar Kamala, who never went to the border, never called Border Patrol, never once called Border Patrol. Can you imagine that, Jim? She's the border czar. She never called Border Patrol. Explain that to me. He's the worst. She was as bad as he was. Going to give him IQ tests next week. Under the Trump administration, we've achieved unprecedented gains on public safety. Yesterday, we were in Memphis, Tennessee, to celebrate the steepest reduction in crime ever recorded. We've been there for about 5 months, and the numbers, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And thanks to our Memphis Safe Task, it's called Safe Task Force, alongside our efforts in Washington, D.C. And what we've done in Washington is amazing. We have Washington as a safe city now. It's been amazing. It's been, if you go back a year and a half, 2 years ago, Washington was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, let alone this country. And now we have a very safe city. And what they've done with all of the people working, many of the people standing right there, has been incredible. And now we're going to see all of our cities take a big step because of Mark Wayne. In 1 year, my administration, we've created the most secure border in the United States history and the largest drop in illegal immigration ever recorded, slashed the illegal fentanyl crossings on our border by 64%, and accomplished the largest decline in the murder rate in the history of our country, bringing it down to 1,900. That's before my father was born. My father was born a little bit after that. He wouldn't be happy mentioning this because he never liked talking about age. But he lived to be a ripe old age, but that's before my father was born. Think of it, 1,900, we have a record, 1,900. Murders last year were at the lowest level in 125 years, and we're making America safe again. We're doing it at levels that nobody, everything we're doing, we're making great. The border is great, the military is great. We're having, by the way, a tremendous success, as you know, in Iran. We had one in Venezuela, and now we're having one in Iran. They have no Navy left. They have no Air Force left. They have no anti-aircraft equipment left, no radar left, no leaders left. The leaders are all gone. Nobody knows who to talk to. But we're actually talking to the right people, and they want to make a deal so badly. You have no idea how badly they want to make a deal. And we'll see what happens. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you're doing over there is really incredible. You and the general and all of the other generals and colonels and captains and majors and everybody else, right? It's a perfect, amazing thing. We make the best military equipment in the world. Now we're going to make it faster. We want to get it faster. But we make the best in the world. We're doing a job. So I'd like to ask Attorney General Bondi to come and do the honors of swearing in a man who's going to do a phenomenal job for our country. And I tell you, your family has to be very proud. You have to be very proud. Absolutely. Everybody wanted this job. I said, there's one man for this job, and I have no doubt he's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Pam. Come on over. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mark Wayne Mullen.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith to allegiance and do the same,
and that I take this obligation freely,
and take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Secretary.
Thank you. I think that was the most nervous I've ever been. It just seems surreal being in the Oval Office and having the President of the United States speak so highly of me and then recognize my family and know my family by name. It's humbling. And I never take it for granted, but I made this very clear that I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same, and we will do that. I'll fight every single day. Today I got the privilege of meeting so many of the employees at DHS. These employees have been there for 30 days without pay. And if you need anything to know their dedication to show up and still protect the homeland that you and I enjoy and the freedoms that we're experiencing, they're working with for free because of political politics. That's all I need to know. I told them, as you're fighting 365 days, understand I'll be fighting 365 days beside you. No one's going to outwork me, and I'm not going to let any of them outwork me. The President has entrusted me with this, and failure is not an option. And so thank you so much, Mr. President, for this opportunity. I won't let you down.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, you've seen there President Trump swearing in now Homeland Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. President getting ready to answer questions from the media there in the Oval Office. I will see you here at 4 o'clock in WCNC Charlotte. Colin Mayfield is up next here right after the break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Welcome back here to WCNC Plus. I'm Colin Mayfield. We're going to dive straight into our news portion of the next hour here with Bria Smith. Bria, welcome onto the show. Not your first time, obviously, but this is a cool story that you are feeling today. So talk about this piece of Black history. It's the Torrance Lytle School, and it's the whole revamp that they're doing there. So talk a little bit more about that. Give us, some of the details, not everything. Obviously, it's going to be in your story tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So county commissioners, the Charlotte Mecklenburg Historic Landmarks Commission, they are looking for a new buyer for this space. Now, this was the area, so Pottstown's first African-American school for students to attend high school, but they're actually serving grades 1 through 11. They were at the time, it was about 1937, I believe, so in the 1930s, I'd say. There were about 7 classrooms in this building, so very historical, very important, significant to this community. But I'll tell you, Colin, I spent some time in the Pottstown neighborhood and the community, and literally neighbors were coming out. I saw, 2 men who were looking like they were about to cut grass. So I stopped them just to talk and learn a little bit more. Come to find out, they and their brothers, so there are 3 brothers, the Patterson brothers, actually went to that school. They ended up, by the time it closed due to segregation at the time, coming to an end, they had to go to other nearby schools. So they stopped going to that school up to the 8th grade, but they learned a lot. They attribute, their time at that school as their foundation to their education. And I really just got to know them, but they really just said that this school means a lot to this community, and they hope that it can be used for something that the community can benefit from, that people can come together. And so they're hopeful that someone would come in and buy it and revitalize it and bring it back to life for that community.
I love that. Talk a little bit about where this got started. I mean, was there an initiative for this? I mean, there are many parts of town, obviously, that would probably need a revamp just like this. But obviously, this is this time for the Lytle School to get this. So, how did this start?
Yeah. So I did see on the Facebook, and we reached out to county commissioners. We also reached out to the Historic Landmark Commission to get a little bit more of that detail. But this was a Facebook post that they kind of posted to put a little bit of details on there for people to learn a little bit more about the school. But I think it's just a building that's been sitting for so long, for so many years. After it was a school, it was used for recreational use. They opened up the gym, as those residents were, informing me. And so they're just trying to find something that'll, I guess, stick, something that people can continue to come back to, that it won't kind of just, be used for something and then shut down again. But it is very, very old. You'll see in my story later on this evening just how old it is. Windows are broken in, doors are kind of wood-like, so very old material. It'll need a whole entire revamp. And so they're definitely just hopeful that, this will be something that could be turned around and used for good for that area.
I think that's an amazing story, and obviously great for that area as well. Bria, thank you so much for your time. We'll wait for your story tonight at 5/6, and of course later on when it hits online, WCNC.com. So for those who would like to go there, you can also link with her there. So Bria, thank you. We're going to go back to the president, who was just speaking at the White House. Let's go to this right now.
I think that you would say that his family, and I don't know this for a fact, and I shouldn't say it because I could get myself. Does anybody in your family want men to play in women's sports? I don't think so, Jim, right? I don't think so. I don't think. How would they do? Would they do good wrestling you? They would be in trouble? Yes. He said, yes, they'd be in big trouble. It's so crazy. So that would be one. And then we have a few others that we call them the best of Trump. But if you look at transgender mutilization of children, we don't want that. It's the mutilization of children. We don't want that. So generally speaking, I think I can answer that Mark Wayne would be very much in favor of what I'm in favor of. Would you say that's right, Mark? I can't think of too many things. He might be worse. He might be worse than me. That's my look at his wife is saying. That's right. But so yeah, he's going to be great. Yeah.
Do you believe the secretary will run DHS any differently than Kristi Noem did? What do you hope to see as his priorities?
Well, we had a good run. Look, we created the strongest border with the help of that man right there. Tom is so incredible, and he's going to be a big influence here, too. There's nobody more professional, nobody better. There's nobody better as a human being. He looks tough, but he's got a good heart. But not too good. Don't make it too good. But, we had Tom. We have the safest border we've ever had. We have a lot of assets, but a lot of things we can do, and we're going to do. We have to get criminals out of our country that were allowed in by Biden. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you support what appears to be a merging agreement coming out of the Senate to reopen DHS?
Well, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to take a good hard look at it. I want to support Republicans, and sometimes it's awfully hard to get votes when you have Democrats that don't want to have voter ID. They don't want to have proof of citizenship. They don't want to do anything about men playing in women's sports. That's one of the items we put on, And I did that just because it's so popular. They say that's at least an 80-20 issue. No, it's about a 99-1. I don't think it's, what do you think, Pete? Do you think it's 80-20? Who's closer, 80-20 or 99-1?
Almost 100.
Yeah, I think 100 is really the, so I support that, and I support common sense.
Would you be comfortable with a deal that involves separating ICE funding from the DHS funding package in order to reopen?
Well, they're working on all of that. That's a detail that they'll explain later. Please.
Election integrity and DHS measures. Mr. President, since CISA falls under DHS, and given that many credible voices have raised concerns over its premature and possibly likely faulty 2020 election assessment, will you and Secretary Mullen implement reforms at CISA and at DHS to ensure full confidence in future elections, like in the upcoming?
We'll talk about it, pros and cons. Look, they used it to try and put me in prison, right? So I can't be thrilled with it. They used that very strongly, very illegally. The Democrats are thugs, and I don't want to say that. It would be nice to everyone get along, but it's a different country than it was years ago. It was very dangerous the way they used it. And they weaponized government. They used that to weaponize government. So I'm not thrilled, but I'll also go along with two groups of people, the military, and I think the military likes it, right? And I'll go along with the senators. I'm fine. But I was a big victim of it. Yeah, please.
Are you going to send Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to do direct negotiations with the Iranians?
Yeah, well, we're in negotiations, as it turned out, and now you've seen what I said yesterday was exactly correct. We're in negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it, and the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there? Look, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their communications are gone. That's the biggest problem. It's very hard to communicate them between themselves. All of the anti-aircraft is gone. Most of their missiles are gone. We either shot them or they shot them and don't have them anymore. They're down to a trickle. Pretty much everything they have is gone. I don't know. Can you name one thing that's not gone, or can you name one thing that's doing well? If you read the papers, you think we're tied. You think we're in a tough battle. We are roaming free over Tehran. The city, Tehran, as opposed to Iran. We're roaming free. We can do whatever we want. And as you know, today we were going to have the privilege of shooting down a very big electric generation plant, one of the biggest in the world. And one shot to the right location ends the plant, it collapses. And we held off based on the fact that we're negotiating. Yeah.
What do you think was the turning point to make you want to pursue a ceasefire? A few days ago, you said you wanted to continue bombing Iran. Now you want to pursue peace talks. Was there something that happened?
The fact that they're talking to us and they're talking sense. And remember, it all starts with they cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said yesterday, they said, what are the top 10? I said, well, number 1, 2, and 3 is they can't have a nuclear weapon. And they're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
How do you ensure they won't have a nuclear
Your
weapon?
former Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bavino, said his only regret is that he didn't catch more illegal aliens. What's your reaction to that?
Who said that?
That's your former Border Patrol Chief. He just retired.
Well, I mean, we captured a lot. They were allowed into the country by Sleepy Joe and that group of incompetent people that were, he was the worst president ever, the group of incompetent people. To me, that's the biggest scar. Inflation, they caused the highest inflation we've ever had. We've already gotten rid of it. The biggest scar is what they did, the people that they allowed from prisons all over the world. They came from the Congo, from all over South America. Rough people. really tough people. So, no, I understand what he means. He says, he would have liked to have captured more. I'm not capturing so much as removing. We're removing thousands of people, and many are self-deporting because we're going after them so powerfully that they're self-deporting. Tom, going back, I think that's one of the big unkept secrets. We have thousands and thousands of people, and they're self-deporting. They're going back to where they came from. But what we want really is the criminals. We're really focused on those criminals, getting them out. Yeah.
What's your message right now to Democrats and also to Americans that are stuck in airports?
All right, folks, we're going to pause the president there. Have more for you right after this 120-second break. We'll see you in 2 minutes. And just like that, we are back. We're going to go back to the president, who is just speaking at the White House after the confirmation of Markwayne Mullin.
Devastating watching it online because Democrats won't fund DHS.
What's devastating?
To Americans right now stuck at airports as we speak because Democrats won't
Well,
fund
they just
DHS.
don't, they won't. Look, this is a deal that was done in the great big beautiful deal, which gave you the biggest tax cuts ever, including no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security for the seniors. Think of it, no tax on overtime, tax deductions when you buy a car, you take money, you pay interest on the money, you deduct it. We've never had that for people buying cars, if it's an American car, only if it's an American car. But they are just they stick together, the Democrats. I tell you, I give them great credit for that. We have some that they're not good stickers. We have guys like Tom Massey in Congress, who's terrible. He's just terrible, terrible person. I call him Rand Paul Jr. But they don't vote. Rand Paul, rarely votes for stuff. Likes me, says I'm a great president. He said the other day, I'm a great president, one of the greatest presidents. But I said, do me a favor, vote for us and don't call me a great. I'd rather have the vote than the statement. But we have people that don't stick together, and those people hopefully will someday be gone. The thing I most respect about the Democrats, even on horrible policy, they stick together. What they do have, though, is horrible policy. Transgender for everyone, open borders, men and women's sports. They have the worst policy that you can imagine. And so whether they stick together or not, they have just this terrible policy. We have great policy. Republicans have great policy. We have common sense policy, but it's great policy. That's our biggest advantage, is our policy is correct. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Say it.
Are you encouraging our allies in the Gulf to be more involved in the Iran operation?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but more NATO. I think our Gulf allies have been pretty good, to be honest with you. UAE's been hit so hard. He got hit by 1,400 rockets, shot them all out of the air with our great Patriot missiles. Think of it, they shot 100 missiles at one of our aircraft carriers, the Abraham Lincoln, one of the biggest ships in the world, actually. And out of 101 missiles shot, every single one of them was knocked down in the sea. Think of that. Think of what that means. 101 missiles, highly sophisticated, very fast missiles shot. Out of 101, all 101 were shot down, and now, for the most part, lie at the bottom of the sea. And pretty amazing, right? Pretty amazing. Our military is amazing, Pete. You know the attack I'm talking about recently? 101 shot. I said, wow. I saw that. You can see we have sort of pretty good equipment that we see. It's called the red line. Those red lines were thick, right? And I said, that's a lot. And then we saw them one by one just get shot. And these guys that do the shooting are the coolest cucumbers ever. You know, most people, you don't have a lot of time. When a missile's going at 2,500 miles an hour, I don't care how far away it is, you don't have a lot of time. But I watched them sit down and think. Great students, MITs, a lot of MITs, a lot of guys like this. They're not as much into the muscle as they are this one right here. And amazing to watch them perform under great pressure, because they have a matter of seconds to do it. If they don't do it properly, it's a big problem, you know, because these were powerful. These were very powerful missiles coming. And so a lot of people choke. They don't choke. These guys don't choke. They're the best in the world. We have the best in the world. Yeah.
Mr. President, what would be your message today to the TSA agents who have been staying home in recent days amid this impasse?
Well, some of them are needing money, you know, because the Democrats cut off their money. I blame the Democrats more than anything else. But some of them, you know, they didn't get paid because they're not funded by the Democrats. This is a Democrat problem. In fact, I actually said to the Senate, why would you say this is a Democrat problem? I think the polls are showing it's a Democrat problem. And they'll do anything actually to hurt our country so they can try and win the midterms. And if we ever went back to our old policies, we wouldn't have a country left.
If they get a deal, Republicans and Democrats in the Senate, to fund all but enforcement operations of ICE, to get those TSA agents repaid and to open up the rest of the department, would you sign that?
Well, I don't want to comment until I see the deal, but as you know, they're negotiating a deal. I guess they're getting fairly close, but I think any deal they make, I'm pretty much not happy with it. These guys came in, they wouldn't pay people. You know, they had a deal to pay. They had to break their deal. The Democrats broke the deal that we had. It was all done. Everything was fine. And then they just said, well, we're not going to pay anymore. And they hurt our country. And at a very difficult time because, you know, we are at, as they would say, a war. They call it a war. I call it a military operation. A very successful one, like nobody's ever seen before. Hey, Venezuela was equally as successful. That was a great thing. No, the Democrats had a deal. It was a done deal, and then they said, well, we're not going to pay. And so a lot of people suffered over that and put our country in danger. You have another question? You haven't been here in a while.
Well, on Iran, can you give us any more sense of who exactly in Iran it is, either Witkoff and Kushner and others are speaking with?
Yeah, we had, I hate to say this in front of these young people. They're not children. I spoke to most of them. They sound like adults to me, even though they are sort of children, right? They'll always be your children. But I hate to say it, but we killed all their leadership. And then they met to choose new leaders, and we killed all of them. And now we have a new group, and we can easily do that, but let's see how they turn out. We have really regime change. You know, this is a change in the regime. because the leaders are all very different than the ones that we started off with that created all those problems. So this was, I think we can say, Jason, this is regime change, right?
What makes you trust them?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust you. I mean, that's only because I know you. But if I didn't know you, I'd probably have more trust. But I don't trust anyone.
Why bother
Why do
talking
you
to them?
Why do you say that? Why do you say what makes you trust? Do you think I trust them? I don't trust them.
Then why bother talking to them?
Because they're going to make a deal. They're going to make a deal. They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. And it was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. And it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Because, you know, you don't know, because the leadership was killed, all gone. Khomeini, all gone, as the expression goes, the past supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader was racked up, at a minimum racked up pretty good, and everyone else was gone. And then many of the people in the third tier are gone. But we're dealing with a group of people that I think turned out, and the present, the gift they made to us was very significant, and they said they were going to do it, and it happened. And they're the only ones that could have done it. Jennifer?
Was it related to the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of...
Yeah, it was related to the flow and to the strait, yeah, it was.
Are you negotiating on who's going to control the strait from now on?
No, we'll have control of anything we want. Look, if we can end this without more lives being down, without knocking out $10 billion electric plants that are brand new and the apple of their eye, I'd like to be able to do that, you know. But they can't have certain things. I mean, you know the things. I don't have to go over the list. But again, it starts with no nuclear weapons, and they've agreed to that. There won't be any nuclear weapons. They're not going to have, and they're not going to have enrichment, any of those things. But look, I hate to say that we're in a very good bargaining position, and I hate to say that they're defenseless, because, you know, until that last missile is fired, they have little power. But we are in about the best bargaining position. We're way ahead of schedule. And again, they have no Navy, and they have no Air Force, and they have no missile protection, and most of their missiles are gone. Most of their launches we've killed. You know, we've killed about 82% of their launchers. So even if they had a missile, they can't launch it. We've been very fast. We have the greatest military in the world. Nobody even comes close. We have the best military equipment in the world. Go ahead.
On Saudi Arabia, there's been some reporting that you've been talking to the Crown Prince. Have you been focused on normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel at this
point? No, we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. What do you hear with Saudi Arabia?
Just hearing that you've been talking and that he has been encouraging you to do certain things related to Iran. Can you share a little bit?
He's a warrior. He does, yeah, he's a warrior. He's fighting with us, by the way. Saudi Arabia has been excellent, and UAE, excellent. And I will tell you, Qatar, incredible. Qatar took a hit, a pretty bad hit. Qatar is very close, you know, they're essentially, you can walk right over the border. Qatar took a hit. They've been great. They've been very strong. Kuwait, they had a little mishap. They shot down 3 planes with our missiles. They happen to be our planes. But the pilots made it. Can you imagine the pilots making it? The pilots saw what was coming. And they said, those are patriots. We're not going to escape patriots. And they got out of there pretty quick, Pete, right? Pretty amazing that they got out. The 3 pilots lived. They're fine. In fact, they're flying today.
It was the Kuwaitis that accidentally fired the missile?
Yeah, the Kuwaitis made a mistake. They fired. They thought they were firing at the enemy. It was, as the expression goes, friendly fire. But the pilots are great. They're flying today. Pretty amazing when you think of it. Yeah.
President Trump, on a human level, how hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out? Like as a human,
on what?
On a human level, not as the President of the United States. How hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do.
All right, guys, we are going to take another 2-minute break, and we have a live report here from CNN. As we are in the heart of tax season, we're going to try and save people money. We always ask, where's the money here at WCNC Charlotte? We're going to have that question and hopefully answered for you after this break. Welcome back, everyone, here to WCNC Plus inside the Impact Studio. The president has repeatedly promised the tax refunds would be larger this year for many Americans, thanks to the big, beautiful bill that was passed months ago. So the latest data from the IRS actually shows refunds on average are higher than in 2025 and will be for many of us. But now the war with Iran could wipe out a significant slice of that refund for many people, depending on how long the war goes on. Ivan Rodriguez joining us live from Atlanta with the latest. Ivan, take it away.
Colin, there's no doubt many taxpayers have been enjoying larger tax refunds this year thanks to those sweeping tax cuts in Trump's domestic agenda package. That extra cash, however, is coming at a time when many Americans are feeling more pain at the pump. As of March 13th, the average refund amount for individual filers was $3,623, up from $3,271 about a year ago, according to the IRS. That's a nearly 11% increase.
If you are falling into a specific category like a senior who is getting an additional tax benefit or tax deduction, you may be seeing larger refunds because, again, that's a nice boost. The no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
While many Americans are looking forward to the extra money, the war with Iran is making gasoline more expensive. Gas prices have soared to nearly $4 nationwide, according to AAA, up almost $1 from February 28th when the U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran began. Those gas price hikes are fueled by the effective closing of the Strait of Hormuz that cut off 20% of the world's oil supply and sent oil prices skyrocketing.
It's going to be a tricky situation for a lot of people, especially anybody who might have, mentally started to plan for where this money's going to go. There will be other downstream impacts of higher prices for diesel, shipping costs, airplane tickets. Those are all going up.
Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at online price tracker GasBuddy, says he expects high gas prices to continue into the summer, even if the war ends.
It's going to be a snail's pace for as long as this continues to stretch out, because it will take much more time for markets to globally mend and for them to resupply themselves. So the sticker shock may continue, though there could be relief if it does improve.
If gas prices top $4 a gallon and remain there for 6 months, the typical household will spend about $600 more on fuel during that period, according to Moody's Analytics. Colin?
Yeah, it surely could cut into a lot of finances as this drags on. I mean, here in Charlotte, we've seen gas go up over $1 in the last 2 weeks. So this next question is about that explosion at the Valero refinery down in Texas. That seems to have an impact, or will have an impact, on not only gas, but oil prices as well. Ivan, what's your take on that?
It definitely already is. That explosion occurred yesterday and was still burning this morning. It sent gas and diesel futures higher. Wholesale gasoline prices were up about 10 cents a gallon in morning trading. Diesel was up 16 cents a gallon, both due primarily to the incident at the refinery and not incidents in Iran, according to a consulting firm.
All right, Ivan Rodriguez reporting for us. Ivan, thank you so much for your time. Let's shift our focus now as we go from gas and oil and turn to the stock market. The Dow is up, but just by 0.06%. Both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are both down. We still have 27 minutes or so before the market closes, obviously, but NASDAQ down by more than half of 1%. So some interesting numbers today. We're going to go to the president right now. He was speaking not too long ago after the confirmation of Markwayne Mullin.
Done. In fact, I was a little upset with Pete. I said, why didn't you save the ships? We could have used them, right? He said it's more fun shooting them down. But the Navy was wiped out in a very rapid order. Pretty impressive for you guys, you champion wrestlers, right? When you hear this stuff. But you don't, if you read the news, you don't hear this. You know, you read like, oh, they're doing wonderfully. They're doing terribly. They're wiped out militarily. They are dead. Yeah.
On Ukraine, is there a new sense of a timeline? Do you want to get something done before the midterms?
Well, we'd like to see President Putin and President Zelensky sit down and make a deal. I think they're getting close, but I've been saying that for a while. I've settled 8 wars. All of them should have been more difficult than this one. This should have been the easiest one, but these are two people that truly hate each other. You'll find out that hatred is not good for making deals. These are people that they don't like each other very much. Yeah.
I know you said there's a bunch of people from the administration who are negotiating with Iran. There's been reports that the vice president is leading those negotiations. Is that true?
Well, he's involved in them. JD is involved, and Marco's involved, and Jared Kushner's involved, very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved. And I'm involved. I'm involved. Why? I'm going to be so big. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. I'm the President of the United States, Tom. And I'm not going to talk about it. It's beneath me to talk about saving millions of lives, because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about saving millions of lives. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. And if I didn't end the horrible Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal in my first administration, they would have had a nuclear weapon 3 or 4 years ago. They would have used it. I would have never gotten the chance probably to be president. Who knows what it would have been so devastating. And if we didn't send those beautiful B-2 bombers, they took them off my desk. They were right there. I don't know why. But if we didn't have those beautiful, the B-2 hit, which was so we obliterated, despite CNN. CNN said, well, maybe the word obliteration. Said, no, we obliterated it. Just obliterated their nuclear potential. You would have had them having 2 weeks after that attack, had we not made the attack, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have absolutely used it. And they would have used it on the entire Middle East, including Israel. And you know why you see that? Because unexpectedly, when this war broke out, unexpectedly, they started sending missiles to UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and elsewhere. And nobody thought they were going to. Were you equally surprised by that, Pete?
Way more than we thought, Mr. President.
Pete, do you want to give about a 3-minute statement on how we're doing in this, as I call it, military operation? People don't like me using the word war, so I won't. But the Democrats call it a war. How about a little statement? I think he's done a very good job. Do we agree he's done a good job, Mark White? Can we take some of your time? Take some of Mark White's time.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military, Iran had a modern military, a modern navy, a modern air force, modern air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated, from day one with overwhelming firepower. The air campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a President of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the President talked about your future. The President has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield. This is not Iraq and Afghanistan. This is not a president who's interested in vague end states. He's been very clear with us about what we need to accomplish, creating the conditions for them never to have a nuclear capability, and that's exactly what we're doing in historic fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you, Richard.
Mr. President,
You know, the only two people that were quite disappointed, I don't want to say this, but I have to, I said, Pete and General Raisin Kane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled. These guys are doing a great job. That's a good attitude, though, Tom, right? They were not interested in settlement. They were interested in just winning this thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you, just taking things locally, hopefully not doing international affairs for a second, do you support the construction of the 2nd Avenue subway in New York City, and will your administration work?
That's really far out, Chris. You know, the 2nd Avenue subway has been under construction for, you're a young guy, is longer than you are old, okay? That's been under construction. I haven't heard about the 2nd Avenue subway in 20 years. What the hell kind of a question is that? I guess they got to get it finished. They spent trillions of dollars practically. No, they spent more money on that than on anything, I think, in the history of our city, in New York City, and it's been under construction for a long time. It's very sad, actually. The only thing maybe worse was Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, his train, I call it his train wreck because it's a wreck. That's been years. It's literally 30 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it doesn't go to San Francisco and Los Angeles like it was supposed to. They decided to cut it way short because there was no way they could finish it. But it's one of the worst. I've never seen anything like it. Other than the worst, the Federal Reserve building for almost $4 billion, little building that's going to cost a renovation for $4 billion, headed by our highly incompetent head of the Federal Reserve.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, would you be open, are you hoping to see the Senate pursue Reconciliation 2.0 to fund ICE and pass the Save America Act?
Well, we'll see about reconciliation. We're certainly talking about reconciliation, I think, Mark Wayne, right? Do you want to talk about that for a second? Now that he's working, we can get him to do this.
Thank you. Lindsey Graham, the chairman where the reconciliation will funnel through, he is committed to making sure we get reconciliation through. If that is in some form with funding ICE, possibly backfilling from the One Big Beautiful Bill, but also more importantly the Save America Act. There's a framework that we can do through reconciliation, paying for it, put some of the policies that cost money in, because there's nothing more important than the Save America Act.
I mean, that's what the American people want. There's 80% of the population say they want only Americans voting, citizens that are registered to vote, citizens that have done it the right way, and I believe that everybody wants an election integrity. So fortunately, Lindsey Graham has said through reconciliation he's willing to put the framework out for that.
And I think that was said so beautifully, so concisely, so well, your father, that we should let him have the last word, and that was it. That was the last word. Did he do a good job? Are you impressed with your father?
Never been more impressed with anybody in my life.
How about me? Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. No, you like your father better, okay? Come here. Look at this guy. Come here. This guy, don't wrestle him. So we'll see you over here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank the family, because without the family, he's not here. You know, he's a different person. And that goes especially for Mom, who looks like she's about 22 years old. I don't know. I see these kids, but she looks very young. But it's a great couple. Congratulations to you both. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks. Come on in.
All right, folks, going to take another 2-minute break. We may have some breaking news from Fort Bragg right after this if we can get this confirmed. We'll see you in 2. And we are back, everyone. We do have this confirmed from the Wall Street Journal, so we're going to put this up. And in fact, within the last 30 minutes, if not sooner than that, we have learned now the 82nd Airborne Division from Fort Bragg will deploy. As you can see, 3,000 troops. Now, this is special because they are an elite unit that is ready to deploy anywhere in the world in 18 hours. They are the only force in the entire United States military that is like this. Obviously, we had been seeing reports of special forces being deployed. We already have, I think, 2 different boats headed from the Navy with Marines towards Iran. So this would be another huge development. And in fact, the president just speaking about an hour ago saying that we have won this war. So this would in fact seem like things are going to be ongoing in Iran. Just some stats about the 82nd Airborne. Yes, they are based at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. They are a premier rapid reaction force within the U.S. Army. They specialize in parachute assault operations, so all of these individuals are qualified paratroopers. They've done this thousands of times and could do it with their eyes closed. And a lot of individuals, a lot of times, they drop these paratroopers over enemy territory when it's at night. So just imagine that, being 10 to 30,000 feet up, dropping over hostile territory, potentially bullets being fired, missiles, everything else that these young men and women will have to be dealing with. So this is an enormous escalation. And it seems like, again, this is big. So they are going to conduct some forcible entry missions. This is what they are used for, the 82nd Airborne. So Rapid Deployment Force. They are an extensive trained unit known as the All-American Division, a very prestigious history, participating in major campaigns from World War II all the way to as recently as Afghanistan. They are some of the first boots on the ground. Now, they are not special operations or special forces, but they do back up and a lot of times are deployed with the 75th Ranger Regiment or the Green Berets, which are the best of the best. And those two forces, I've seen reports that they will be there as well, and if not, have already been deployed. So a lot of this has been coming out over the last 30 minutes to an hour. We wanted to let you know first here on WCNC Plus. We do have a issue on 77.
Yeah, we're just piling on with the breaking news here, Colin. So let's just show this to people real fast. This is a still traffic camera. This is what Megan Bragg has up in the traffic center right now. She gets ready for the 4 o'clock. We do have a crash, I-77 here. This is just over the interchange for Interstate 85, just north of Uptown. It looks like the two right lanes are getting by, but we can see some sort of crash there. This looks right after that merge. I think that would be traffic that is coming from 85 southbound, perhaps, Colin, onto I-77 southbound.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that. And also, while you were talking, our assignment desk was alerting to me that we now also have a crew en route to a deadly stabbing here in Charlotte on Maple Shade Lane. So we have a crew en route to that with updates coming up in your newscast here shortly.
All right. So again, we are just about 12 minutes away from our 4 o'clock show. Jane Monreal, Nick Sturdivant will be taking over for that. So again, a stabbing here in Charlotte that we are awaiting CMPD to give us more information on. A crash, as you saw, on I-77 north of the city, but a very impactful one. As we know, we are about to head into rush hour for the evening commute. Again, the 82nd Airborne, 3,000 troops from that regiment going to be sent to the Middle East and deploying. Again, within 18 hours, they are ready to deploy anywhere in the world, so they could be the first boots on the ground in the next 2 days. Let's go to NASA right now. The administrators speaking about their new moon base initiative, which is pretty cool and quite the turn from other news, but let's go to this right now.
For decades after the last space race, NASA was really the only game in town. For better or worse, the plan changed. We formed partnerships, spread goodwill, and tried to undertake programs that attempted really to make everyone happy. The outcomes became less important, skills atrophied, and now we find ourselves with a real geopolitical rival challenging American leadership in the high ground of space. NASA has stated we will return Americans to the moon before the end of President Trump's term. Our great competitor said before 2030. The difference between success and failure will be measured in months, not years. They may be early, and recent history suggests we might be late. This is why it is imperative we leave an event like Ignition with complete alignment on the national imperative that is our collective mission. Over the past few months, I visited all the NASA centers, and I've made a promise. If we concentrate NASA's extraordinary resources on the most important goals on the President's national space policy, clear away needless bureaucracy and obstacles that impede progress, and empower the workforce and partners, then returning to the moon and building a moon base will seem pale in comparison of what we're capable of accomplishing in the years ahead. This is a step in that direction, and you will hear updates on NASA's strategy across a number of important initiatives today. But to be clear, we are long past the time for words and PowerPoint. Alongside this event today, the RFIs and solicitations will go out, breakout sessions will begin, and as this spacefaring ship sets sail, the focus moves quickly to execution. Let's start with the most visible objective before us, returning American astronauts to the moon. Artemis 2, in the days ahead, will send NASA and a CSA astronaut into the lunar environment, the first crewed step of the Artemis program program to pick up where Gene, Harrison, and Ronald left off on Apollo 17. At the same time, we are standardizing the SLS architecture with the Centaur 5 upper stage. We're rebuilding and focusing expertise on ML1 pad turnaround and establishing the muscle memory required to support a higher launch cadence. The programs we left behind in this effort were not success stories. NASA takes ownership for the shortcomings, but contributing billions more and time that we do not have was not a pathway to success. On that note, I welcome the interest from industry to make use of these capabilities in furtherance of our shared priorities. As we move forward, we intend to launch Artemis 3 in 2027 to test the integrated operations of Orion and one or both lunar landers in Earth orbit. What we learn from that mission will ideally give us the confidence to begin lunar landing attempts starting with Artemis 4 in 2028. I'm pleased with the proposals from both SpaceX and Blue Origin to accelerate progress on their landers. As I've told both of our valued partners, alongside Axiom on the EVA suit development, NASA's here to help, to provide expertise, to clear obstacles, to challenge requirements where appropriate, and do all we can to enable our partners to be successful. Should we fail, and should we look on as our rivals achieve their lunar goals ahead of our own, we are not going to celebrate our adherence to excess requirements, policy, or bureaucratic process. This revised, step-by-step approach to learn, to build muscle memory, to bring down risk, and gain confidence is exactly how NASA achieved the near impossible in the 1960s. But this time, the goal is not flags and footprints. This time, the goal is to stay. Today, we are providing a demand signal for frequent crewed missions well beyond Artemis 5. We intend to work with no fewer than 2 launch providers with the aim of crewed landings every 6 months with additional opportunities for new entrants in the years ahead. America will never again give up the moon. That brings us to the next step, building the moon base. It should not really surprise anyone that we are pausing Gateway in its current form and focusing on infrastructure that supports sustained operations on the lunar surface. Despite some of the very real hardware and schedule challenges, we can repurpose equipment and international partner commitments to support surface and other program objectives. It's worth pointing out that shifting NASA workforce priority to the surface, which has lots of advantages for safety, tech demonstration, and science, it's really the proving ground for future Mars initiatives, does not preclude revisiting the orbital outpost in the future. We will build the moon base in 3 phases. Phase 1 endeavors to support industry by moving from infrequent, bespoke efforts to a templated approach that will generate significant learning through experimentation. We will dramatically expand lunar landings through the CLIPS and the LTV program, delivering rovers, instruments, and technology payloads that test mobility, power systems, such as working with international partners and industry on the production of RUs and RTGs, communications, navigation, surface operations, and all the science payload that can be incorporated. Phase 2 transitions from experimentation to semi-habitable infrastructure and routine logistics with the aim of supporting regular astronaut operations on the surface. It's at this point we anticipate seeing the significant contributions from our great partners like JAXA's pressurized rover. Phase 3 takes advantage of the affordable mass-to-surface capabilities that cargo HLS will inevitably provide in the years ahead and enables the permanent infrastructure necessary to sustain a human presence, such as Italy's proposed habitation module. The moon base will not appear overnight. We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan. Just as there was Mercury and Gemini before Apollo, there will be an evolutionary path to building humanity's first permanent surface outpost beyond Earth. And we will take the world along with us as they follow along on the NASA Moonbase website and watch the assembly through lunar relay and observation satellites. At the same time, NASA will never give up its presence in low Earth orbit. The International Space Station has served humanity well, but it will not operate forever. The transition to commercial stations must be thoughtful and set up industry for success. Today, we will review a bit of the history of the International Space Station, NASA's understanding of the commercial market, the budget available to support the enormous undertaking, and the 2 potential options available to explore going forward. Now, regardless of the pathway, NASA will invest the limited budget available over the years to work with commercial providers to build the future LEO presence, which includes maturing capabilities, expanding commercial opportunities through the PAM program, while creating what we hope is an achievable glide path to commercially operated space stations. We will further signal demand for what we hope will be multiple crew and cargo transportation providers to support LEO requirements for decades into the future.
Breaking news, but first, we do have some coverage of our own that will be coming here. Brad Panovich, James Brierton, going to be here for the Artemis II return to the moon. And we're going to have coverage for you. James, remind me, that slips my mind again.
As early as next Wednesday.
There we go.
It's the first launch window.
So it's been pushed, obviously, to April. We had been waiting for this. We'll have hours of coverage. It is a passion for both Brad and James. And there really is nobody better to do this but these two guys. So looking forward to that. We do want to update you on a stabbing, though, that happened close to the Matthews area. So I would say southeastern Charlotte, as you can see from the map. Paramedics are on scene. We don't know about any injuries, how many people might have been stabbed, but clearly they are assisting someone there at the scene. We'll have an update for you as we do have, hopefully, a crew headed to that scene here in the next couple of minutes. Obviously, the latest will happen at 4, 5, and 6 on WCNC Charlotte. Back to this report about the 82nd Airborne. It seems like 3,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne Division. They are housed and stationed at Fort Bragg. They're headed to the Middle East. We'll have more for you on this tonight from 7 to 9 here on WCNC Plus as well. We'll see you then.